welcome everyone to the Russell County Board of Supervisors, April the 24th, 2019, reconvened meeting. First, I'd like to start with the roll call. Tim Lovelace. Here. Luann Wallace.
Here.
Carl Ray. Here. David E.
Here.
Steve Brady.
Here.
Mary Ferguson.
Here.
Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Ma'am, you have a quorum.
All right. Let's stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge, please. Thank you, dear Lord, for giving us another day. Thank you, Lord, for the many blessings you've bestowed upon us. Lead us tonight to do the county's business. Help us do the right decisions for all the people that we represent. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam Chair, I think we need to amend the agenda to call for an executive session for the purpose of discussing contractual matters.
That would be.
You have it?
Yes, thank you.
So we'll do that number 4.
3711A and 3 for respective business, and 7 and 8 for legal counsel.
Katie, will you say that again, please, dear?
It's 3711A, subsection 3, subsection 7A.
All right. So we have a motion to amend the agenda from Steve. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
David, all in favor?
Aye.
And we'll make this number after new business for executive session. Okay? Now, all those, another amendment to approve, it's all clear and good, got the numbers, just, well,
That
we
was
go.
an amendment, so now you need to approve.
Approved it,
That's
yeah.
amended.
A motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Steve, second.
I'll second it.
David, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, our business tonight, the first one is the Russell County PSA and Castlewood Water and Sewer, the Articles of Incorporation and Joiner Agreement. Floor is open for any comments and discussions, please. Maybe you need to.
Frank, were there any changes? Were there any changes to the articles?
I had suggestions on one section, and we'll know more about that after we have a joint meeting with the PSA, Russell County PSA, and I'll just change it then, because it'll depend on their resolution before I make a change.
They'll be ready for the May meeting?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I've given you all a copy of the joinder agreement, but my advice would be to review it, if you want to make suggested changes, but not to approve it until you've had the joint meeting. That way, if there's changes that the PSA board brings up, that you won't have to pass another motion. But certainly review it and see if there's anything that you think needs to be changed before we have that meeting.
So this is the latest, this is what you just gave us, hold up.
Yes.
The latest, everything's there. right, do any board members have anything, I know we won't be able to read this quickly, but any points that you kind of want to address and make sure that we see in here? Of course, we have to wait on Russell County when they need to, any of their comments.
Where are the offices gonna be? Is there gonna be one centralized office, or how is that gonna be handled? I know that's, I don't know, is it in here at all? Is there, I read something about some office, but that was in another thing I had online that I was reading.
The place of business would not be in the joinder agreement. Now, when you file the amended articles, it'll say that it'll give an address for the place of business. But I mean, as far as separate offices, if you're gonna have satellite offices, that would not be anything that would actually be in the office.
So that's what I've been reading with the Swords Creek combination, all that. They gave an address and where the office would be placed, et cetera. So I read all that. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
there'll be a main office, but, you know, if there's gonna be multiple ones, that, but you just have to have a main listed for the articles.
The principal office.
And that's where they be listed, when it goes to SEC, right?
So we'll need to know that before we file.
File.
So currently, right now, we got a public hearing scheduled for May the 6th to review the articles, you know, approve the articles of incorporation and the joinder agreement.
Yes, if you're gonna, you could approve the joinder agreement, you have that joint meeting next week, because it's not, but you can't approve the articles until you have a public hearing. Now, if you prefer to wait to approve the joinder agreement until May 16th, you certainly can. This is just basically, this is an agreement between all three entities of what you're trying to achieve. And then it doesn't require any approval by anyone other than you, whereas the articles will have to be approved by the state corporation. So that'll be up to you. If you want to approve it at the same time that the Russell County PSA does, you can approve this joinder agreement, or you can wait for the May 6th meeting, really. Just a week's difference.
Let's wait since we just got it.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to read.
Yeah, I would advise to approve it today, because until you have that joint meeting, because they might make suggested changes. And then
What is the date for the anticipated public hearing? Is that, did we already set that?
May 6th.
May,
May
that's what I
6th.
thought.
May 6th.
Because it's been advertised.
It's been advertised there. Now, when are they meeting? When were they going to meet with Russell County? When was that? Next week? What day?
Your all's next meeting.
We need
Monday,
your
29th.
Monday, the 29th.
Monday the 29th at 6 o'clock. So we would have to actually reconvene again. Because they're going to meet with the Board of Supervisors, Russell County PSA, and either representatives from the Castlewood and the Russell County Board of Supervisors would reconvene for at your meeting on Monday night.
Do I need to take copies of this to my board members, let them be reading over for Monday night?
Yes, and be ready to, you know, show action on it.
Where's that meeting going
Harvey, right now, and where do you have the meeting
We usually have
scheduled?
it back here, but if there's somebody in here, we can just meet where we did last time over in the conference.
Well, let's schedule it here.
Okay.
Yeah, let's schedule it in here, since it's all three. Yes, yes, it's Monday at 6 o'clock. Okay.
So the Castlewood Water and Sewage Authority will be notified, their entire board as it is now, minus the two that were not legal.
Yes, ma'am.
Or are the other two legal?
Right now, currently, Castlewood Water Sewer is still an entity until it is the joinder, the articles approved by the SEC, so they do need to be here. Right, Frank?
on? Well, one of the resolutions I recall that passed, with only one no vote, authorized the chairperson to execute the joinder agreement in behalf of the board. He has that authority. But I'll go back and look at that. Whatever that resolution says, if we need the entire board here, we'll notify them. If they've already pre-approved that, then we won't need to. So I'll look at that tonight.
Okay, thank you.
But the question I'm asking is, does the authority still exist with the former members and the current members as it was pre-2018 November?
The current board members are, yes, the entity is still in existence. Castlewood Water and Sewer Authority has not been dissolved by the State Corporation Commission.
Who are the
Correct.
board members? I think it's what Luann's.
Yeah, I need a list of board members, because some of those board members are under the impression that the authority was dissolved and they are no longer on the board. However, they're still getting checks, and I think that's some of the things that we need to bring out so the public understands.
Well,
So-
I mean, nobody's ever told them that it was dissolved. I mean, I don't know.
Okay,
You know, if we ever need a meeting of that board again, we notify the current board members. The chair would put out a notice for a special call meeting, just like we have in the past. And so I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. They're not dissolved. Just because somebody thinks they're dissolved, that doesn't make them dissolved.
I understand that very well. Okay, so could I get a list of the names of those people that are on that board? So they know that they're on that board. And I asked the question, does that board exist as it did pre-2018 November?
What happened in November 18? Are you saying?
We had a
Mr. John-
dissolution that we had to re-go again.
Those, one board member was removed,
Two.
two were removed.
For not being a customer.
That was a separate issue.
Then y'all added one of the
And
statutes.
then we added,
So you got 3 new board members.
so that was completely separate from the joinder agreement.
Well, that board, after it was reconstituted,
Yeah,
passed the resolution and adopted it
right.
for the joinder. And I believe they authorized the chairperson, Brad Patton, to sign any joinder agreement that you all approve. I'll have to double check that.
So the existing board would be that new board, the 7-member board.
Yeah, the existing board, the one that you all
Right.
appointed sometime in the last 12 months. I don't know exactly when.
Because you passed a resolution and dissolution with the stipulations in the resolution for the chairperson to be able to approve the joinder.
Yes, I just have to look at the
Okay.
exact language to see whether or not they have to reconvene with this.
So if you've got that, and I now recall, it did stipulate that, but we'll make sure of it.
We'll just
But
need it.
if that is correct
Right.
and true, then as far as meeting with Russell County PSA and the Castlewood, do we need the chair and the vice chair or just the chair?
Just need the chair, well, let me double check that. I'm going by memory, and that's always bad when you're thinking about documents. But I do specifically recall that authorization was made, and I'll email everybody on the board of supervisors as soon as I double check that. If it's not clear enough that he has authority, then we'll have them meet with you all, and whenever the time is appropriate.
To answer Ms. Wallace's question, until the joinder agreement is approved by the SEC, the board is still
Intact. Okay.
Will there be a separate articles of dissolution by that board hosted or sent to the State Corporation Commission once this joinder is approved by the State Corporation Commission? Because that's a separate action. So we have to do a application for the joinder to the SEC after y'all do all the things you have to do in the public hearings held. And then there will be, since Castlewood Water and Sewage Authority has a joinder with the Russell County PSA, we have to go ahead and then send an application to dissolve the CWSA. And that is, I think, pre-authorized. If not, we'll have to get them back together. And then they do order dissolution, the SCC does. That's not automatic, just because you do the joinder. The SCC has to dissolve it upon proper application.
I think where a lot of this is coming from, though, is, you know, after those board members were removed and then the 3 new board members appointed, then there was like almost immediately a meeting following that with the new board members. And there was a vote taken to dissolve the CWSA. So once that, and that passed. And I think that's where they're like,
Well,
that was it, that, you know.
then they had a meeting to rescind that vote.
Right. But I'm just thinking.
I can understand where
that's
people
they
be
come
confused,
from.
but legally, it was not dissolved that night, because the SCC has to dissolve it. It was to go through the mechanizations of having it dissolved, but all that did was put it in place. Before it was sent to the SCC, they rescinded the vote. I'm not saying that people don't have a right to be confused. I'm just setting the record straight that it's never been dissolved by the State Corporation Commission, and that vote was rescinded. Because that's when we decided to go with the joinder.
Rick, I pulled it, it's a draft of the resolution you all sent me, but I would imagine it's what was passed that night. It says that the CWSA Board of Directors hereby agrees to join all of the bona fide assets, debts, and liabilities of the CWSA with Russell County PSA, and authorizes the chairman of the CWSA in consultation with counsel to execute, deliver, and file any and all such applicable documents and agreements to effectuate said joinder.
That's what that's good to remember every word.
And see, the reason that we did the first resolution of dissolution through the Castlewood and had to rescind it is because after talking to the funding agencies, if we had started a complete new entity, we would have had to start from ground zero from our financial component, our grant component, our debt load, everything would have had to change. So this made the mechanism easier to be able to transition without having to start at ground zero and have no previous history, which the grant funders did not recommend.
And that came up, you all formed a committee to work on this, and after we passed that dissolution resolution, CWSA, we sat around the table, and that was when a couple of us raised the issue. Do you have any debts that if you assume CWSA's debt, would that hurt your bond rating? And number 2, do you have any grants pending? Well, you're at the very end of a grant, and it's real possible that the grant agency would make you go back and start all over again with a new entity. So we recommended to CWSA that they rescind that, so none of that would happen.
Any more discussion? Anybody else have any more? Because we'll need to read this to get some facts, all right? Next thing is and KDU helps with this, the Cumberland Plateau Waste Management Agreement, their articles of incorporation.
Yes, that's another public hearing that we have set for May the 6th. However, I have been speaking with the attorneys for Buchanan County and Dickinson County, and it seems like there's a little bit of a disconnect now. I guess the first change that was proposed to me was by Stephen Mullins, and obviously no boards have taken any formal action on this because they haven't had their public hearings, but things that they would like to see. The first thing he said is his board would like a term limit on individuals serving on the authority board, and Lee Moise discussed that with his board, and they did not agree with that. Then my understanding now is that something that we would like is for there to be a shorter term duration for the at-large member. And I did share that with Lee and Stephen so that they could share that with their board. Stephen did
write back to me recently and stated that his board did not agree with limiting the term, but would agree eliminating the at-large position completely. So basically, he said they would either be in agreement with eliminating the at-large member completely, or they want to keep it as the 4-year term. And Lee responded and said he would try to get up with his board, so I don't know what Buchanan County's position is on this right now. We have this public hearing set, but basically, I mean, as you all know, if we don't all get on the same page, then it doesn't mean anything. So I don't know if we need to, I don't know where we really go from here. I kind of discussed, you know, how Lee was going to handle it, and I think his board will still go through with the public hearing and may approve that, and so we certainly can. But I mean, if it's not the same, all around, then we're just back at square one until we get back on the same page. So just something for y'all to think about. I mean, we don't have to do anything. We can cancel the public hearing if you all want some more time, or if you want to approve it the way that approve the articles the way that you think that they should be. But then, you know, basically how I see it, we're going to have another public hearing, and so that's going to delay it even more because you have to advertise it for 30 days. And then we're not even going to be able to do that until June, because Dickinson County won't have their meeting until the end of May, so we won't know how they're going to vote until then. So that's where we're at.
Well, I will speak, I guess, you know, being the chair of that board now, the only concern I had as far as the at-large position is to have it at 2 years, just like it would fall into place, and not, you wouldn't have one county that had the majority vote for that 4-year term. So I felt like that having it fall in, like we talked about at the last meeting, fall in to as the term came up for reappointment, so would that also, and then it would switch. It would start at Dickinson and go to Buchanan and then to Russell and alternate.
Yes, and when I initially spoke with Lee, again, he's just sort of guessing. I mean, and that's what I'm telling you. Until I speak to you all, I'm just kind of guessing when I'm telling him things. That he didn't think that Buchanan County would have a problem with that, but then we got Stephen's response that, and I don't know if they've had a meeting or if he's just sort of kind of gotten the feel that that's what they would approve. So.
The Dickinson said no.
Yeah.
It's either eliminated or do a 4-year term. And term limits, what kind of term limits were they talking about?
I think they wanted, I'd have to go back and look, but I think that
Dickinson County wanted to limit any board member that served on that to 2 terms, 2 consecutive terms. And but Buchanan County responded to that before we even got a chance and said that they would not agree to that. So, Madam Chair, if I may, I've had the pleasure to serve at the governor's request on several state boards, and we normally do a 2-year, and I don't have an opinion one way or the other on this one. This is not one of my burning things. But just to let everybody know, and you all probably know this anyway, but at the state level, they serve 2 terms, 2 4-year terms, and then you come off. And then you can be reappointed back on that same board or be reappointed on another board or whatever. But those are the state guidelines. So just throwing that out there, but that I do think that 4 4-year terms is a little much to state in there. My goodness, that's a while. My angst is, I know it talks about the Cumberland Plateau in here, and I understand that 7th member was the at-large position that was represented by the Cumberland Plateau. And so it's my thoughts, and I would make the suggestion that we follow Dickinson County's lead and say eliminate the at-large position, because I think that no matter how many years you give to that at-large position that's floating through Southwest Virginia, we're still giving an unfair advantage to everybody else. And then we've got 3 members on there, so we've weighted that vote, and it could be not good for some other county. I mean, I don't know. Look where we are today. So that could cause an angst. And so my question is there normally a tie that they have to break? How many times have you had a tie, David, do you know?
We have,
And how many
Not
times
since
in the
I've started.
past have we had a tie?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
So, I'm kind of leaning with Diggison County on that one, just to throw that out there, because I know this is discussion time. And, I'm looking at Article 5, should other political subdivisions petition to become members of the authority and such petition shall be acted upon and be the subject to the provision of the act. That gives me a little bit of heartburn there too, because the 3 counties that's participated in this for many years have paid the dues and put the money up, and so for somebody else to step in, what are the guidelines? I mean,
Well, I mean,
how would we know?
if it's subject to this act, it's kind of like joining the 2 PSAs. If you're joining another locality, we would have to go through this process of amending the articles of incorporation, so everybody would have to agree. So I don't think it's something that would happen very easily. I mean, everybody would have to be on board to add another.
To add another.
Yes, because when you join an entity with an existing entity, you have to do basically what we're doing with the 2 PSAs right now.
Okay, so in your professional opinion for this board, the protection that you're giving us, you're telling us that this is not a problem, you don't see a problem with this?
No,
To let
because-
that ride in there?
No, for instance, if Dickinson County and Buchanan County had agreed that they wanted somebody else in, but you didn't, then it still takes you to amend the articles. It's basically, this is actually a much more difficult situation than what we're doing with the PSAs. This board just has to approve those amendments of the articles, whereas you have to get 3 different board of supervisors completely on board and have an exact agreement to amend those articles.
That's gonna be like chasing cats, huh? So,
And approved by the SEC.
okay, well, okay, good. I'm glad I asked that. Thank you. Hang on a second, I may have another one, Madam Chair.
Well, I had one, Katie, and this is just, I just now picked up on it, and this may be a standard thing. This is under Article 6 there. The authority shall have the existence of 50 years from this date of certificate of incorporation. Is that pretty standard? 50 years? Is it statute? Is it state statute?
We're gonna be dead.
I haven't looked at that for a while.
Yeah, it is.
It's by state statute? Okay.
Yeah, you look at that.
Every authority, when you create them, like Tim said before, you have
We're
created
rowdy
debate.
down here, sorry.
Y'all behave down there.
Tim's only gonna be 102. Sorry.
I'd like to say, same thing Ms. Wallace was referring to, on the, rather than give one county 3 members for 4 years, I'd rather see just
Just, yeah.
not have it, because that's gonna be unfair advantage.
Yeah, since
No matter what
we're down to
county.
2 counties that are seeing it this way, I mean, I'm not talking for us, please don't think I am, but I think that with us doing this discussion tonight, I think that we would have 2 counties possibly that would be leaning that way. And, the 3rd one can come along maybe, I hope. But I think if we explain that in such a way of how we're thinking it, because it's gonna put an unfair advantage
Yeah, if it's
down
1
the
year at
road,
a
we're
time,
gonna see that.
I'd be all right if it's 1 year at a time, but 4 years,
Yeah.
that's unfair for some.
Well, I'll
no matter
tell
what
you,
county.
our board don't have an issue. I've already addressed it with the at-large member. So, I mean, it's not an issue if it's just to make it fair and level. I don't like the 4-year, thing, that's too long. But also the elimination of that position, I don't think our board has an issue with that. It was just the way it was created. I will say this, so in business, I've been in business for 30 years, but you got some guys on that authority that have a lot of knowledge. They have a lot of experience. They've saved these 3 counties millions of dollars, millions, and I can show it to you. But I don't want to go through the fact of eliminating those guys that have all that experience and knowledge of how to make this thing really run. When you do put new people on there that don't have a clue, they got to learn. They got to go through the process, but you need some mentoring from elderly people that's been there and done it, knows how to make it work. So that's really the reason I'm against you know, stacking that thing and running through those guys and getting them off that board and then bringing them back. I don't think they'd come back. You know, I just don't think they would be back, and you really need them. You really need them.
Well, it's my understanding, and that was, I think that was brought to the board, Buchanan County's board, when they met at their regular meeting. They're not gonna agree to that at all.
No, I don't agree to that.
So, I think potentially, depending on how the rest of the board members feel, I mean, I can certainly discuss with Lee and Stephen that our board has no problem with eliminating the at-large member if that's everybody's position. And then we can hold the public hearing and approve it to that. And Buchanan County will have their meeting and their public hearing the same day that we do, because they meet the same day. But Dickinson County, I think they meet towards the end of May. I can't remember the exact date. So then the ball will be, if Buchanan County and Russell County approve identical articles of incorporation, then the ball will be in Dickinson County's court to see if they will approve them. And if they don't, then then nothing happens. The status quo remains the same until we reach an agreement.
All right, so, Katie, do you think it's just best that we sit and hold and you'll let us know and we'll decide to either go on with the public hearing on May the 6th or we'll cancel?
Yes, and I think probably what would be best, you know, since we've already got it scheduled, is you all approve the articles that you want approved. And again, I will try to touch base with Lee to make sure that we're on the same page there. So hopefully that we can all get on the same page this month. But I think it's probably best to go ahead and have it. That way you've got it out there what you want. And then, you know, if the three boards don't approve the articles the same, then at least we'll know what our holdup is and try to see what can be resolved. It's just, unfortunately, you know, it takes time. You'll have to reach the agreement, and then you'll have to advertise again, and then hold that another public hearing, and then submit it to the SEC. But it sounds like we're really close, and hopefully, again, I don't know Buchanan County's position on this, but that should make Dickinson County happy if the at-large member is gone.
Anybody else, any other comments? Have anything to discuss? All right, our next thing is any other county matters that we have. Tim? Got anything you want to say about?
Get this Glade Hall.
Go ahead, yeah, let's go ahead.
All right, Harvey?
Yeah, if you got that.
Yeah. The only thing I had is, I thought it was gonna be on the agenda, it's in the board packet.
It's in the board.
Yeah. It was this Glade Hall, Glade Hill Drive water project.
Yeah, it was in my Google Drive.
Yeah, I had it in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harvey said he wanted to come talk to the board about the project. The update, what the status of it.
Yes, we got a Clay Holler project coming up. The loan ain't hardly ready to close yet. So we've got $195,000 from term one. The loan's supposed to close June the 1st. But I'm about done with FinCast and I was wanting the board to see if they were approved for me to go forward with this. It's more obligation. So it's a total of $941,000 for the Clay Holler project. $523,000 is grant, $418,700 is loan. And
How
then we
much is
got
loan? Say that again, please.
loan is $418,700. And then we got a total of $195,000 from Southwest and Coalfield money.
So your net loan is, you're showing $223,700.
Yeah.
So you're gonna reduce, can you reduce, I mean, this VDH, are they gonna allow you to reduce the grant?
No, we're reducing the debt, not the grant.
It'll probably be about
The loan?
The loan, yeah, the
Yeah,
debt's
but
the loan.
have you checked with them to make sure they'll let you do that?
I know on that.
Because I think they're gonna make you reduce it in proportion to the loan, the grant.
Yeah, you take.
If you've got a portion, say 60% of it's grant, they'll let you reduce, you know, a portion. They'll take part of your grant and part of your
Yeah,
loan.
they
You know,
would.
by that 195.
Yeah, even by that way, it will still cash flow.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it will.
We've got a
It's
total
big
of
chunk
60.
grant.
60 customers out there, but 39 have signed for the water, 21 have declined.
Did you say some of them's gonna be town customers?
Yeah,
No problem.
16 of them is already Town 11 customers. That VDH asked us to do this project because people is complaining about the water. It's been over.
They're located outside the town limits.
Is it because they
Yeah.
ran out of town rates? Is that what it is?
No, the VDH, several people in there have complained about the water. About the
Galvanized.
old galvanized line, been in since the 70s. And VDH asked us to do this, and Town 11 are giving us these 16 customers.
Okay, the town's on board giving you
Yes,
16.
they done,
There's no
yeah.
problem
Yeah,
there.
they've already approved, they've let us do those.
They've done approved that, okay.
One of them
The
is
town
right
has
now,
already
Walmart.
voted and said they'll let you pick these up, and it's all good with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how many customers did you have, say you had as user agreements total?
39.
39.
Yeah, sorry, Jeff.
So how many we have to have down Copper Ridge to get this going?
Well, I have to see how much the pro project's gonna cost.
Yeah, and my understanding, you're gonna have two like on both sides of the road for this?
2 lines.
Yeah, I mean, you've got construction costs here, construction line replacement, extension and replacement.
Mhm.
So,
Replacing
the
the old limit.
extension is,
Going from, like out from Glade Hall Ballpark, there's Glade Hill subdivision.
Uh-huh.
We're going from there on out to the other Glade Hill subdivision that goes up in the
okay,
road.
and this replacement is for
The old
the
galvanized.
town people, the town water thing, okay?
But all of them are outside the town limits.
They are, this
They're
one
not
is back
inside.
up, be serving the ballpark also.
Goes down
there
the
in
ball.
Glade. Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
you'll still be getting your water from town 11.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But just the big
Replacing the lines.
use.
Correct.
So you're taking over the maintenance of the lines and the installation?
Well, we're going to just go a different way than they are. They go across country, we're going down the main road.
Well,
I'm just being nosy, because what's the construction contingency of 5%, and then 21% of total construction cost? I never come up with 76,000. Where is $76,545? What's that 21% of?
Where are you seeing that at?
on your first page with the line extension,
Related costs.
Yeah, it's construction cost of 5%, and then one's 21.
21.
Construction contingency, you don't use it unless you absolutely have to have
Which one's that, the
it.
21?
The
5%.
Yeah.
The
Contingent
related
money.
cost, that is, we get all your design, preliminary engineering,
Yes.
construction administration,
So
inspection
that's,
services.
basically, that's administration cost.
Part of it is construction administration. That is for, well, it's basically engineering is what it is.
Yeah.
Engineering, what else is in there, Harvey? Advertising.
Advertising,
Yeah, advertising,
loan
paper.
payments and all that.
Attorney's fees,
Attorney fee, yeah, your loan
any kind
closing,
of surveying that you have to
your
do,
bonding and
bonding,
everything.
bond counsel.
So that 21% is on $379,155.
And those, you may or may not use all that.
And we may not even, the project may not even cost all it does. Most times, we have right smart money left over on projects, like Thompson Creek, we had $100,000.
Well, it's probably,
We have these.
it's probably
And
just,
Mountain Meadows, we had 80,000 left, so.
And we try to use that to extend on out if available, and then if not, sometimes you have to return money, but if we have an opportunity, we usually ask and usually get awarded the opportunity to extend even farther when we have leftover. We've been doing our force accounts, we've been very blessed, and, you know, for the most part, we've had, you know, quite a bit of money, you know, left over, able to reach out, you know, and reach more customers.
So is this gonna be leftover money, or is this a whole brand new project?
You don't know really until you actually finish.
So you haven't finished your application yet?
No, I'm talking about construction, when you know what you have left over.
Okay. But, okay, now where's the 418,700 coming from? Because here you got 223,700 is loan.
Well, see, the 418,000 is a loan from VDH. That is the total cost of 523 and 418 adds up to 941. That adds up to that. So then on 2.5% interest is what the loan's gonna be. But you got this 195,000 that you bring off the whole total cost of your project down to
You're gonna reduce some of the loan, all if you can.
Yeah.
At the very minimum, some of it by this 195.
Yeah, a minimum of 40% off of the 195,000. A minimum of 40% will go on the reduction of the loan.
Start that again. I was sitting somewhere else and missed that part. Say that again, Harvey.
The total cost of the project is 941,700.
941,700. I got
That's-
935.
Well, right here, you're supposed to add 6,000 to it. Right here's the.
For
that's the
closing
Closing
costs,
costs.
gotcha,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that makes a difference, okay. See there, gotcha, that makes it,
Who does that
gotcha.
go to? VDA, the VRA?
I think so, yeah.
That's a new thing. I just heard it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the 229 cash flow.
Yeah.
So by looking at this, coming for VDH, so you got $941,000 project. See, with 523 VDH grant, 523,000 VDH grant, you got a Coalfield Water Development Fund grant of 75,000, and a Southwest Virginia Water and Wastewater Fund grant, 120,000, and you're financing 218,700, which you're saying the 39 users, and hopefully maybe more,
Yeah.
will cash fund this project.
You just need to find out if they'll let you pull all that money off the loan
Oh,
portion, that's
we
a
keep
no-brainer.
all the grant and all that full
Yeah, but
percentage you get off
in the
of your rate.
past, they'll only let you do a proportion of the share.
But they give us the most, the grant is for that section where they had.
Well, they might let you
They're gonna
do
give you the
that.
grant for the replacement part?
That's where we got the most grant for.
Yeah.
Because the pipes are so old.
Right.
Right down there, they need replacement pipes down toward Castlewood.
Yeah.
We'll start on that
Yeah.
next.
Things we gotta look at, for sure.
When will y'all get started on this?
Well, I'm hoping to start by June. The loan close is supposed to close in June. I'm
Will they
hoping,
let you know that soon?
well, what I was hoping is to go ahead, because I'm gonna be down with Fincastle, that I could take some of that Coalfield money and Southwest money, go ahead and buy a little bit of parts, put them out for bids, so I could go ahead and start on it, a piece of it anyway.
And
until the
you can
loan
start
does
on
close.
up at Belfast in June too. I'll bring my pick and shovel up there and help you.
Yeah.
Now, hey,
I totally agree, just the way the money comes out in funds is just a little different type of funding source, you know.
well, I know where both of you live, mine better get started soon.
Got you, yeah.
What
Yeah,
is,
you know, that's always been there, you know, the Belfast down there, even back when we
funding
first
source
started
on
and formed
that project?
Hansonville, Belfast PSA, you know, back
Oh,
20-some years ago. So originally, all of that was gonna be the first part of the water project. And it just come down 603 and do the right of ways and no customers signing up. We actually, I mean, we almost lost a pile of money and we had to reroute that project and bring it down Route 19, you know, because of that. And it's been a little bit sticky, but I think that's gonna happen and hopefully, with that, Ms. Dye, hopefully this is gonna be a thing that's gonna be paid for right out of the box with zero debt. So that's exciting to have that opportunity for that to happen. But with this, we have our crews going and we're gonna have that little short time there in between. So what we're hoping on this, have a pretty good crew of men, Harvey does. And what we wanna do is try to maintain this and we're able to use a little bit of this money to go ahead and start getting some piping, and getting some materials in. We can actually continue on because everything looks pretty good, I agree, I mean, I'm an old Belfast resident myself, so yes, we need that up there. And that has been a sore up there for 20-some years trying to get water through that area.
You're almost done with that whole region, aren't you?
Pardon?
You're almost done with that whole region up there. You only have the Arrowhead project
Yes, sir.
and then House and Barn. and
Yes, sir.
that's
Yes, sir.
That whole area will be done.
It'll all be done. We'll get these things.
Rebecca's project, who's funding source on
DHCD.
block grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
How much is that? If you-
We're asking for 550. We've already got 200 from Fairmont Southwest down in Coalfield.
And the entire project's only a little over 700,
So
so
that's
this
all
thing is
grant.
gonna be It'll be zero money, it'll all be grant, there'll be no debt. That's the reason it's so worth taking that little 90-day break to see if we can grab this thing, you know, after waiting 20 years, I said, 90 days to get this thing for free would be awesome, you know. Is it gonna happen? You never really know till the final pencil's crossed, but it looks good, you know, that's.
They're looking at it right now, they're looking over all the projects for DHCD right now. So she said I should know something in July.
You said on the latest possibility to go into New Garden Road in Cleveland, say
Yes.
2 or 3 years down the
Yes.
road or something.
Yes.
Cross right over.
Going over into Reed Valley
Right.
section.
Yeah.
Get the glade, that's gonna get us up on the top, you know, and we're gonna have a little small issue there, you know, with, perhaps a little spike strip or something with that, but I know y'all can take care of that.
They've already given us permission to do
Did
it.
they do it? I did not see that. Well, thank you, Harvey. I did not realize they had done it. I knew we had that little issue, so that's great. That puts us right over where we need to be then.
You
for
can get
sure.
all of that Spring City area there.
Yes, it'll be all of that, right on over into Cleveland, so.
Talking about what
Copper
Mr.
Ridge.
Lovelace said, Copper Ridge, have you done any signatures on that, or has
I don't-
anything happened?
I don't know what Castlewood, they have worked
They've
on it
done
before.
it, they worked on it 2 or 3
And
different
actually,
times.
if I'm not mistaken, they got an offer on it, but it was all loan. If I saw.
You know what? I'm not 100% sure, Steve, but I think you may be right. That's when they were looking at perhaps trying to take the well and stuff, you know, from the Copper Creek School and stuff and use that. And the only issue I had with that, we've stuck with one source of water, you know, and you end up, you get people, and this is their only thing, and all we got is just this one well. That's the reason I like to be able for the water, as you've always known me, my peeve for 20-some years. We need water to flow both ways if there's an issue.
You need that redundancy.
Yes, sir, and if not, you're gonna have people stuck there and no way to get water to them. But with that, and I think we're close as we can get this, and hopefully Castlewood, you know, and, you know, whoever's there, you know, working and putting it together, you know, once you get that interconnection, I think it's gonna really help on the flows back. So we can already at this point, and we're looking at a thing, you know, from the Castlewood side, we can already, you know, from this end, we can take water all the way from Bluefield, West Virginia, you know, in the sandy water thing, and put the water into Castlewood, you know, through the back valley area and stuff like that. We can't bring it back. So, you know, we're very blessed, you know, we have, you know, we're sitting here, we have and with our interconnection, we get done with Washington County, you know, we get water from the Holston watershed, the Clinch River watershed, and also the Big Sandy watershed. I mean, we're gonna be we are actually sitting as far as water. I mean, it's just amazing, you know, that I've saw this happen over the last 20-some years, and you know, and I just love that. It's gonna make Russell County extremely unique in terms of serving the citizens and the people. You know, once it comes together, and I understand this time, boy, sometimes you run into these wrinkles, you wanna just kind of reach up and pull your hair out. We almost lost that there 20-some years ago. Steve knows, he was engineering in with this thing due to the fact right-of-ways and no user. And that's another question that I think that maybe perhaps, you know, not necessarily me or maybe not y'all. I know we have passed the availability ordinance. Well, you know, Washington County, they implement it and they use it. It's something that perhaps, you know, and you've already passed it, you know, on the sewer and the water, you know, and if that's something that was enforced, you know, by whoever is supposed to be the authority to enforce it, these projects would be a piece of cake. You'd have 100%, just boom, and your grants hit. But, you know, we work and get our user agreement. That's something, and I'm like y'all, that's something that I've kind of, you know, shied away from doing, you know, to come up and, and tell Tim, hey, you got to hook up this water line. But we're also at the point also, you know, as you look back and you see the value that perhaps that person doesn't realize the value of his property by having this. But that's just something, that's just a thought. I just want to throw that thought out there.
Takes legislative action.
Pardon?
Takes legislative action. The only recourse you have to enforce it, you can bill anybody. There is no such thing as a mandatory hook-in. You can't make anybody hook
How does
in.
Washington County get away with it?
Well, I don't know. How do they enforce it? All they can do by statute is put a lien on the property. That's all they can do by statute.
Well, that's pretty strong enforcement though.
Well, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, we can do that, you know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's
if
just something-
they don't pay it,
Yeah.
but you assess them the non-user fees, and there's a formula how you calculate it.
Yeah.
you an assessment. If they don't pay over a period of time, you can put a lien, just like a mechanic's lien, on the property. And then if it's ever sold, it has to be paid off after sold. But, you know, everybody's talked about, can you do a VDOT offset, stuff like that. It would take some legislative action. If you want to be paid, that would be the way to
Like
do it.
do on taxes, you know,
Yeah.
with taxes and stuff, yeah, no, I understand that, they would have to make a change on it. But anyway, that was just a thought process. But I guess what we're asking for, you know, is asking for a moral obligation, which we have to have with this, so we can move, you know, forward with this project, and that's our request, you know, to the board tonight. Appreciate y'all, you know, we've got, I mean, 20-some years ago, we had like 20-some% of the people in the county had water, and now we have water availability of well over 80%. Y'all
Tim,
can't
did
leach
you
and
have a
bounce,
question?
I
20%
appreciate
in
that.
District 1. That other 20% in District 1.
It's mostly down in your area.
Seriously,
It
We're
is.
hammering, we're
What's
hammering.
that supervisor been doing down there? You ain't got more water.
Trying
The water
to get water. What, seriously?
Hey, but you're correct. The same way with roads and ungraveled roads. I agree with you 100%.
We got them all in
Yes,
District 1.
yes, yes.
But what do we need to do seriously? I know there's been, and Steve knows about this, there's been attempts made to gather signatures and apply, and I know that they've come up short on signatures, or there's different reasons, and I know Steve understands way better than I do, but just all that's in the past, what avenue do we need to take to go about getting water on Copper Ridge in that area and get it started? Because we got people down there that are begging for it.
My personal opinion, we're gonna have to get the lines, we're gonna get the source into there like we did, you know, 20 years ago, back when I was served on the board, and we did the mains on all of 19. I think we're gonna have to look at some type of a main project on 58, just my personal opinion, some type of a mains project on 58 to make sure the sources are there from more than one area. I mean, I don't feel like we can do it, go down and just use one well. You know, that's just my personal opinion. We need, I think, a mains project, you know, on the corridors of 58. And the other thing, with the number of people that's not interested, when you can't get the majority to get grants and stuff, that's where I was going back to the availability orders. Now, who's willing to bite that and do that? That would be up to the individual, you know, the individual board member. And you know, it's going to always be a sticky situation. Is it for the betterment of the community, or do we, you know, let it go like it is? But I think that's the whole key to it. The mains project being number one, having availability. And then you have an opportunity to come back and have grants. And even though you may not have a 40% of the people sign up, but if the board authorized and did a mains project through there, then availability is going to be there. And then you can do small sections at a time. And maybe like one of these, maybe 30 or 40 people, you can hit this area. And then you go and you apply for your grant, and then you have that opportunity to get that. Then when that line gets there, you'll pick up at least 20% more when that water's coming by. Yes, I think I want that, especially get your meter, you know, for a reduced rate, and we've got it. And, but it's a tough situation, Tim. As far as having the answer, first and foremost, you want to have the availability of the water source.
Well, and that's what I want to know is what can I do to help make this happen?
Availability of a water mains to have the water present to distribute.
I want to say something too. You know, I've been working on this agriculture industrial in the federal opportunity zone down there in Hansonville. We have a unique opportunity for industrial development. That 58 corridor is prime for economic development, industrial development. 19,000 cars a day pass through that area, and there's a very unique way of, I think, we can market that region coming in there to be able to get that growth and homes being built, industry developed in that area. And also, when you do that to market it in that way, you could also market it for the residential side of that also within industry. That's a unique area down there that's kind of intact in that whole corridor for growth.
And we've got water down 58 so far.
We got
We've got water there.
Water right down to where the old road runs in there. It's not far from there on down to Bolton. In fact, it's not that far from there to 71 intersection.
Well,
You're looking at about 6 miles down.
Evergreen.
You know, as we've got Glade coming down, you know, with Glade coming down, just kind of me looking, you know, at a forward future for whoever's doing it. I can see us, so we can come across Crossroads. get water from this, from the area, and that's a pretty good saturated area. Then also coming down, we got some dead area down 71, but we need to get the water to Dogtown. And I can visualize, and I met years ago, we need to get water from Castlewood, when I'm saying Castlewood, I mean, years ago, I said, hey, we just need to let's try to get some mains, let's make it meet, doesn't matter which authority was doing it, but let's work on our mains to get these connected, then we can do our spin-off. That's kind of been my vision of water in the whole county. Little pet peeve I've had for years.
You tried Crossroads.
Yes, sir.
You've got it all the way to the intersection. We tried to go from the end of,
Purcell.
down,
You're right.
down.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get enough
We tried
enough
twice.
people to
Not
sign
enough people
up on
want
it.
That's where we
So
come
it's
to this
a single
availability.
source.
It's something that the board wants to push and do, and that's kind of where we're at, Tim, is the board willing to push and say and try to get the legislation, hey, we want to change it, that the availability ordinance, here it is.
And it goes back, Carter, to what you said earlier. I've talked to people about it, just to see how they felt, because we discussed that here, that,
Yeah. Oh,
it's the
yeah.
only way we're gonna get some of these projects together, is to make them pay a disconnect fee, basically.
That's
Well,
it.
refusal fee.
That's it.
Is what I call it.
And it's going to help them,
And-
the property's going to be twice the value.
Right,
Yeah.
and I talk to people in my area, because they're saying, well, we'd like to have water, so-and-so down here don't have water, we don't have water, I know all kinds of people that don't.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, here's what we're looking at doing, if we do this, in order to make it cash flow, in order to make it not go under, we may have to charge a little disconnect fee. If we go by you don't connect, there'll be a percentage charged to you monthly.
Yeah, that's
Formula
availability.
in the state.
And y'all have already passed that. That's on our books.
And I had people that said, look, that's fine. I probably would take it, but even if I don't, because I've got a good well, my septic's good, I would still be more than willing to do that because I know so-and-so on down the road that's in trouble and they're hurting. So I talked to a lot of people like that, but then I had a lot of people tell me that if someone came on their property and told them they were going to have to pay to not take their water, that they'd shoot them. That's what you got out there.
I understand completely.
I'm
Is that a motion?
One thing I
for
think
him
you
to go ahead
think you need
and
to do
start
is proper reading.
Is that a motion for him to go ahead and start enforcing availability order? I was just asking.
Hey, Tim, on Copper Ridge, I think you need to apply to somebody besides the health department, like rural development.
Yes.
RD ought to be the one you go to, because that's an ideal project for rural development. And you may have to pull block grant in there, it's gonna take some work, but it's a big project, it's an expensive project, because you're gonna have a big tank up on top of the hill there somewhere to serve all that Copper Ridge area, and then by the time you drop down into High Point,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to put a PRV on it to,
And,
because
and I'm not
lines up.
exactly for sure where the level of income there is, and I apologize for not knowing exactly where we show that in the public, because that's another opportunity that can be available, can be a good, not knowing the level of income. A lot of
You can
farmers
probably
and stuff there,
RD,
we may have a lower
RD
income.
block grant,
Yes, yes, sir.
Coalfield.
Yes, sir. Okay.
But I want to help my people, and whatever I need to do to help you guys, help them.
That's what we want to
Let
do.
me know.
It's all of us working together. We
Yeah.
all have the same goal. We want to supply to everybody we
Everything
can,
in Russell County.
and whatever it takes to make it happen. Not be quiet, I've talked too much.
No,
Keep the soapbox out.
What about Green Valley Road, Carter? There's a
Pardon?
lot of houses on Green Valley Road, there's no public water on Green Valley Road.
Coming that way.
We tried once, that boy did.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah,
houses.
yeah, we'll
There's a
reapply
good
on that.
project.
And again, it's the number of people that actually sign up. That was the thing, gosh, it's been 10, 12 years ago, I guess, when I first came on the PSA, when I left the Board of Supervisors. And that's been, and again, somebody's got good water and they don't want to sign, so there you go.
Maybe one needs to be looked at again.
The trouble is, a lot of times you go to people's houses, and they won't even come to the door if they're home.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a
you
very
go back
good
and
thing.
back to their house and you can't catch them home, or they're out home, and they look out and see that they won't even come up.
They do that campaign.
But, that's part of it. I mean, we're all familiar with that. Hey, I appreciate
campaign, just take user agreements.
They thought you might be running for
That's a good
office.
idea.
That's what it was.
That's a very good idea. Hey, you want a lawyer?
Appreciate y'all's time,
Thank
and I
you.
appreciate the consideration on
Hey,
this moral obligation more than you know.
And now get back to, I apologize, back to the Glade Hollow and the Glade Hill, and and legal counsel will chime in. The moral obligation that you're asking for on this project, it can only come through when, at the loan closing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir,
So,
that's correct.
for
But
you
we
to
want
be
get
able-
ahead of the game, you know, to have this together so we can go ahead and get some supplies in.
Right.
Keep our crews working as we're waiting on this final closing.
Could, but from a legal perspective, and like I said, legal counsel can chime in, the moral obligation will come with the loan closing. Until you get
Correct.
the terms and condition of the loan, that's when the moral obligation come in, and Katie
So
would do her
You'll come
scrap.
back in June and let us know if you've gotten it and what we need to do and that sort of thing.
Yes, we will. We just kind of wanted a
Yeah.
consensus from y'all before we
Wow.
jumped forward and started bringing material in. We wanted a consensus that y'all would be agreeable with this. And the reason being, because we've already got some money, we can go ahead and start getting some stuff in and working on a little different type of thing. And that's the reason we kind of came a little bit early before the closing.
I just don't want to delay nobody off.
What are you asking for? Just a consensus from the board?
Just a consensus from the board that you will support this moral obligation when it comes up in June. That's what we're asking for.
Cash flows, I got no
That
problem.
was my question.
A cash flow. Yes, sir, that's what we were asking for.
What did you, how many signatures do you have to have for two cash flow?
Right about where we're at now.
Yeah, we're
No,
pretty
they
close.
didn't, you, what, 25, 30, 40?
We
what
actually
did you have?
we've got 39. There's 60 customers available. We have 39 that have signed. We have 21 that have declined. And so this project will cash flow with the 39, and we anticipate picking up 5 or 6 more as your lines come through, which you always do. You'll pick up usually 20 to
Well,
25.
you've got extra money, you can just run on up to Belfast. You said you had extra money, extra supplies. I'll help you I'll bring the
Yeah,
truck
but
down,
the
I'll
funny
come
thing
trailer.
is, they won't let us move the money around, you know?
Boys.
I'm afraid you'd have to send me a hamburger, you know, at Fort Leavenworth or somewhere, if we move the money in different directions.
Boys? Okay. All
I'm
right,
gonna
we'll
come
back
up,
in
you're gonna make
June.
me a cup of coffee if we can get those water lines in there before next year.
Huh?
I'll be there for coffee.
Yeah.
If they're not taste like chlorine either, if it
No,
does,
no
we'll call
chlorine.
Harvey.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank y'all very much.
thank you. All right, next we have to have, Harry, please read our, thing for executive session. We have
I'll
a
pick it
motion
back
to go
up.
into executive session for legal and respective business.
3711A.3, business, 3711A.7 for legal.
3 to 7.
Uh-huh, 3 and 7.
3, 7, and 8.
Yep. We'll pull it up.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to go in closed session, 3711A, 3, 7, and 8, for business and
Legal.
legal on
Is that right, Kate?
that. Second.
Okay, and Tim, you second it? All right, all those in favor? We'll be back in a
Dee,
minute.
thank you. Second?
I'll second.
David, all right.
Certification of closed session pursuant to subsection 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, each member of the Board of Supervisors upon roll call certifies that to the best of their knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters that were identified in the motions by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the Board of Supervisors. Any member of the Board of Supervisors who believes that there was a departure from the requirements shall state so prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure in his or her judgment has taken place. Are there any supervisors who believe a departure has taken place? Seeing none, if you agree that the matters heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting were pursuant only to the motions by which the closed meeting was convened, please signify by saying yea or yes. Tim Lovelace.
Yes.
Luann Wallace.
Yes.
Carl Ray.
Yes.
David Eaton.
Yes.
Steve Breedy.
Yes.
Harry Ferguson.
Yes.
Rebecca Dye.
Yes.
Ma'am, we return to regular session.
Thank you. All right, then, we need a motion to reconvene on Monday, the 29th, to meet with the Russell County PSA and the Castlewood Water and Sewer Authority to discuss the joiner agreement.
So move, Madam Chair.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we will meet Monday, 6 o'clock here. No, they're meeting at 6. They meet at 6.
It's their meeting.
We're meeting with them at 6 here. Okay, we will reconvene Monday night. Oh,
Madam
no,
Chair,
yeah, that's fine.
I won't be in attendance, I have an appointment somewhere else.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we will meet Monday night, I guess, colleagues.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. For certification of closed session pursuant to subsection 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, each member of the Board of Supervisors upon roll call certifies that to the best of their knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the opening meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such business matters that were identified in the motions by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the Board of Supervisors. Any member of the Board of Supervisors who believes that there was a departure from the requirements shall state so prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure that in his or her judgment has taken place. Are there any supervisors who believe a departure has taken place? Seeing none, if you agree that the matters heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting were pursuant only to the motions by which the closed meeting was convened, please signify by saying yea or yes. Tim Lovelace.
Yes.
Luann Wallace.
Yes.
Carl Ray.
Yes.
David Eaton.
Yes.
Steve Brady.
Yes.
Mary Ferguson.
Yes.
Rebecca Dye.
Yes,
Ma'am, you have approval to turn to regular session.
thank you. All right, at this time, we'll have our invocation by Yule Miller Race Fellowship, and then remain standing for, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm sorry. Let's bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for another beautiful, wonderful day. Thank you, Lord, for putting your spirit upon us. Help us to do thy will. Help us to be your servant. Help us, as this board, go out and do what is right for the people of Russell County. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, do we have approval of the agenda or need to make any amendments to it?
I'll make a motion to make a change to it. And under new business, add the county administrator.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. And we will add that as number 3 under new business. Okay, at this time, I'm happy to say we have some acknowledgements for our students in Russell County. Our first one, Steve, if you'd like to help, it's with Avery Price, the 2018-19 second team group 2A, all-girls state basketball. Avery? Is she not here? Not here? Is she outside? Okay. Just said that aside. But that's nice to have an honor for all girls
All-State Basketball. Next is Hunacre High School, Leanna McNulty, 2019 All-State Girls Basketball Team, Class 1, Team 1, and Grayson Hunacre, All-State Boys Basketball, Class 1, Second Team. Mr. Bush and David, ready? Carl, you want to go too, son? Okay, come on down. Anna not here tonight? At basketball practice.
Don't let him out.
Don't let her out.
Madam Chair, do you want
Yep.
to, you want to give it to Mr. Bruce to take?
Yeah, please do. Yeah,
Do we do
take it
that? I'll let you
too.
hold that now.
Yeah, please. All right, do we have any parents or grandparents that need to be taking pictures? Come on down. Come on, Heather. Parents, grandparents?
I would like to say congratulations to Grayson. I've watched this guy play. I'm telling you, he's phenomenal to watch him play, and the effort and time that he puts in to the sport is the reason you see what you got. So, congratulations.
Thank you. We can go back up here unless you'll stand up front. You want to do that? Y'all let these get together, and you'll go back there and line.
All right, guys, 1, 2, 3. Hey, I'm ready.
Thanks, Mom. Definitely, thanks.
All right, our third set of recognition is for Castlewood High School children in Louvain, Tim. Gunner Jesse and Casey Bush, first place. This is for their FBLA broadcaster. Journalism. Wayne Bush and Lauren Johnson, first place, business financial plan. Abby Baker and Savannah Mead, first place, 3D animations. Brandon Long and Zoe Phillips, first place, PSA. Trina Hughes, Nicholas Ford, first place, intro to business. Kayla Taylor and Brooke Traverse, first place, social media. So let's do this one at a time. If y'all want to lay these here, and we'll start with Gunner and Casey. And Heather, is one at a time okay for you?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. And parents and grandparents?
Baseball. They're playing something.
Baseball.
The school will get this to keep. So, can I give this to somebody?
Yeah, right back there.
She's not coming, she's not
Come on.
coming. I'm the photographer.
Oh, you're a photographer. Okay.
I want those certificates. So, Madam Chair, if we may, can we do it off of these certificates?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we already know Gunner Jesse and Casey Bush, they're working on their baseball stuff. Abby Baker and Savannah Mead.
Get the picture.
All right, we're gonna do one individual with them?
Yeah.
All right, girls.
Thanks,
Slide right over.
Thanks,
Your coach is not coming.
She's
Okay.
a photographer.
All right.
Sherry, you get me?
All right.
Would y'all, can I push y'all turn this way so you can kind of squeeze in? And I will.
Can?
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, we're squeezing.
Yeah, look, thank you. All right, 1, 2, 3.
I'm fine, these Okay, girls,
They're
count
soft,
them as
they're
they
playing
go.
softball, okay.
Michaela Taylor and Brooke Crabtree? No, Travers. Shoot me. I'm sorry, I murdered. Look at that. Hang on, I don't have my glasses on. Girls, turn around here, let's get your pictures made. I've renamed you, haven't I? Congratulations. Congratulations. Oh, newspaper.
All right. One, two, thank you.
Okay, the next, first one is Gunnar Jesse and Casey Bush for first place in broadcast journalism. They're not here. Next is Lane Bush and Lauren Johnson, first place business financial planning.
Cross country, or track, sorry.
Lane Bush and Lauren Johnson, first place business financial planning.
Track.
Brianne Long and Zoe Phillips, state FBLA winners PSA.
Here, send your pictures.
Katrina Hughes and Nicholas DeBoard, state winners introduction to business presentation.
Baseball, softball.
This is easy. And Katrina Hughes and Nicholas DeBoard, state FBLA winners introduction to business presentation.
Congratulations to everybody.
And I want to say something about Catskills High. The FBLA program, they've worked hard. Ever since I've known Miss Allen, she has worked tirelessly with FBLA. I know my son was in it back, Miss Allen, 2008, 9, 10, 11. And it was very successful then. You guys were winning. This is 10 years later. You're still doing exactly the same thing. So thank you for all your hard work and dedication.
We enjoy it. Thank you for your support.
All right, now we'll open the floor to public hearings on VDOT six-year secondary construction plan.
Does anyone have any public comments on the six-year plan? John, do you want to make an overall summary of the six-year plan for Russell County, please? This is John Watson with Virginia Department of Transportation.
Yes, sir. Mr. Administrator and the board, this year we were only able to add 2 projects onto the six-year plan due to limited funding. These are unpaved roads that are going to be added to the six-year plan to be paved. They must have 50 vehicles a day or more traffic count. The projects that were chosen were based on the number of homes and the traffic count. So these are the 2 of the highest traffic count roads and the number of the homes in the county. It's Route 606 Blanche Davis Road and Route 678 Copper Creek. Those are the 2 sections of roadway added onto the six-year plan this year.
Would you say those again, please? I was trying to write it down.
Route 606 Blanche Davis Road
Okay.
and Route 678 Copper Creek.
Copy. All right.
Is there any other public comments concerning?
Have a comment on that?
I'm Glenda Osborne.
Okay.
Ms. Osborne,
State your name and address, please.
Okay, Glenda Osborne, 11115 Sandy Ridge Road, Cleveland, Virginia 24225. I'm here to ask that our road 621, Sandy Ridge Road, it's paved up so far, but we would like to see the rest of the road put on the six-year plan to get it completed. And that's, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the public hearing for the 6-year plan?
My name is Maxine Kelly, and I am from the same road that Miss Osborne is from. It's Route 621, Sandy Ridge Road, Cleveland, Virginia. And we have worked for years to try to accomplish getting our road done, and we haven't been able to be here for a few years because of cancer in both of our families. But we would like to get it back on the 6-year plan and get it going again. And we appreciate any help y'all can give us. Thank you.
Any other comments now? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on the VDOT 6-year plan. All right, our next comment is with the Russell County PSA and Castlewood Water and Sewer Articles of Incorporation and Joiner Agreement.
Maxine Kelly again, 621 Sandy Ridge Road. And we also want to get water over 621. And we have several families in need of water up there. And we would appreciate it, anything the board or the water board, anything you do for us on that water. We have, just on my driveway alone, there's 3 families, my 2 children and my husband. There's several more. They say they're not enough, but we feel they are. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, the purpose of this public hearing is to approve the amended Articles of Incorporation that would join the Castlewood Water and Sewage Authority with the Russell County PSA into one entity. The articles were advertised pursuant to the Virginia Code in the newspaper, and they are before the board tonight to discuss and approve. So I guess the first question would be, does the board feel that they've had an adequate time to review the proposed amended articles?
Any boards have comments?
So the board would need to have a motion to approve the amended articles. Also, if the board does so move to approve the amended articles, there would need to be appointments made, as that's part of the document, is that you would have to select the members of the 7-member board tonight to be in the articles. That would have to be approved tonight as well, so we could submit that to the SEC. And if Frank and Joyce have anything else that they want to add, I'll let them do that at this time.
We might point out that those appointments won't be in effect until the State Corporation Commission approves an amendment, so the current board members would stay in office until the State Corporation Commission does that.
Okay, do I need to back up and do a motion to approve the adopt? You have the resolution to sign. Okay, so does any board member have a motion to approve this jointly?
I guess at this point, if there's not going to be any more discussion, then it would be appropriate to close the public hearing. If there's going to be any more comment, though, we need to do that at this time.
Okay, you have a comment? Okay, step forward, please. Thank you.
Right here?
Yes.
I live-
State your name and
My name's Jerry Jackson, I live in Homeacre, Virginia. And, I was concerned about, we got a little business downtown, but don't nobody know where downtown is. Everything is just all up, everything goes to the break, we don't have a clue, nobody does much living on it. We got a museum that's next to us, nobody knows that it exists. So they come down business trying to find a lot of different things are located, so we need an information center, little time
Well, you can speak with us later. Right now, we're going to, and you come back and speak when we have the public comment with that. Right now, we're discussing the Castlewood and Russell County PSA joiner agreement.
Okay, I didn't know, I didn't want y'all to
That's
close.
fine. That'll be perfectly all right. You just sit right there and we'll wave you up. We'll get you. You can say it again for us. And you're not the first one to ever make a mistake, and honey, you won't be the last. Right here's 7 that's gonna make mistakes. We'll just own it. All right. Anyone else, any public comment on the Russell County PSA and Castlewood Water and Sewer Articles of Incorporation or the joiner agreement that we've been working on? All right, seeing no one has any comment, we will close it. All right, board members. Yep, you want to go ahead and do a motion, maybe? Approve it.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve these articles of incorporation. And I think we're going to appointments a little later in the agenda.
Yes. All right, do we have a second?
I'll second
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the joiner agreement?
it. Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, now we're having our public hearing on the Cumberland Plateau Planning District Waste Management Articles of Incorporation. And legal, you have a couple of comments. Okay, you have some comments on the waste management. No, you want it for the public? Yeah, and then you open that up and I'll start. Then you'll talk, okay. Is there anyone in the public, in the audience, that wants to speak to the waste management articles of incorporation that have been printed in the paper? Okay.
She's got paid for all that stuff in paper. Whole pages, whole pages. For 4 weeks. Can you imagine
This is a public hearing on amending the articles of incorporation for the Cumberland Plateau Waste Management Authority that involves 3 counties, Buchanan, Dickinson, and Russell. And for this project to keep going through, all 3 counties would have to agree upon the exact same amended articles of incorporation. My understanding, I guess in October of 2018, members from all 3 boards got together and mainly worked out what the amended articles would contain. However, since we have, I apologize, since we have set our public hearings, there have been a few issues that have come up. The articles have been presented to the board, and from a legal standpoint, I do think that they are adequate, and as long as they contain all the provisions that you all had agreed upon. The only two issues that are currently remaining are that Dickinson County had proposed that there be term limits for the board members that would serve on that board, that they could only serve 2 terms, and then they would be precluded from serving, at least for a little while. Understanding that Buchanan County said that they would not agree to that. We have also proposed that the at-large member, which rotates throughout the counties, would be limited to either a 1 or 2 year term instead of a 4-year term. I've discussed that with legal counsel for Dickinson County and Buchanan County, and the proposal that came back from Dickinson County was that they would either agree to eliminate the at-large position entirely or just leave the 4-year term. Buchanan County had not had a chance to discuss that issue, but they either had or are having their public meeting today. So those are the 2 remaining issues. So based upon this, I thought it was appropriate to go ahead with the public hearing and address any comments regarding this agreement, but my advice to you all would be to table a vote on this until we can make sure that all 3 counties are going to agree to the exact same resolution, because if you don't, then it can't be approved by the SEC.
Katie, I do have a couple of comments. Would it be appropriate to make those to you?
Yes.
Okay. On I think it's Article 3, the last paragraph, or next to last paragraph, it talks about the monthly compensation. It says all board members shall be reimbursed for their actual expenses incurred in performance of their duties as a board member of the authority. And I don't think it was intended that they would get the monthly stipend plus expenses. And I would think that you could just add something like board members that may extend, let's see, all board members should be reimbursed for their actual expenses incurred in the performance of their duties as board members of the authority that may extend beyond the monthly board meetings. I think that monthly stipend is for attending board meetings. And that's just clarification. And also in Article 4, the last half of the last paragraph, it says the authority may also contract with the Cumberland Plateau Planning District Commission to serve as the authority's administrative agent until such time as the authority is adequately funded and able to blah, 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 right on down to the end. Well, that they broke away from the Cumberland Plateau Planning District Commission, so I would think all of the remaining portion of that paragraph could be taken out. Am I right, Dave?
Yes, yes, sir.
There probably won't be any issue as to that, and I can discuss that with Lee and Stephen. It may take a little more back and forth as far as what the meaning of that. So, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. You're saying that a board member would be able to ask for reimbursement if their expenses exceeded the $200.
No, I'm saying the $200 monthly stipend covers attending the board meetings. If they have business, if they have to travel somewhere, you know, on other company business, that expenses should be covered. That should cover the expenses should be covered.
Okay.
Not the $200. I think that's just for traveling to and attending the board meetings, and the business of the board meetings. And then the expenses would be, I don't think you would be entitled to the $200 a month stipend plus expenses, is what I'm saying.
Oh, what you're saying,
Okay.
like the travel expenses to go to the meeting. Okay.
Yeah. I think you could have one or the other.
Okay, I'm sure that's the understanding, but we can work on the language to make that clear.
To give a little clarity too, our board, which I chair now, that board, we reduced the stipend from $350 to $200. Our board's done approved that, so I just want to make that clear.
Madam Chair? Could this board send back its recommendations through a vote to the other 2 counties that some of the things we've talked about tonight, mainly the elimination of the 7th member? Can we go ahead and do that and send it back to the other 2 counties to say this is our stand on that? Because Dickinson County was there, so we only needed one more county to come in on that, right?
On the board member, yes, on the elimination of that at-large member, we would be in agreement with what Dickinson County proposed and we're waiting on Buchanan County. There's still the issue of what we're gonna do with the term limits, because it's my understanding that's what Dickinson County's board proposed, and Buchanan County said that they would not agree to that, so I really don't know where that's gonna get resolved. I don't know that a vote is needed at this time, because again, I don't want there to be any confusion that you all voted on the articles, because if you did, we would, if you approved any kind of articles, then we would have to send it, we would have to do another public hearing, if they weren't the same as the other ones. So, with those issues in mind, I think it's better to direct me to continue discussing this with legal counsel, and then hopefully we'll be bringing back all of our boards, that joint resolution to pass on June the 3rd.
Okay, but just for my curiosity, is everybody in agreement that we eliminate the 7th member? Okay, sorry, Madam Chair, I didn't mean to take you, John. Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Any more comments? Any more from the public want to make a comment? All right, if not, we'll close the public hearing. And Katie, you will be in contact with the other two attorneys about what they say.
And I would at this time love that motion to take the consideration of the amended article.
Public comment. 3 minutes.
All right, and legal advice will accept a motion to table this until she gets further clarification.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Do we have a second?
I'll second
All right, Harry, any more discussion? All those in favor of tabling this?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's that. Next, we have presentations from Jack Henselwood. I hope I said that correctly. Correct me if I did. From the Crooked Road Wayside presentations.
Very close.
Close, were you correct, please?
It's minimized at the bottom, just hit the PowerPoint and it should bring it up.
Turn this off.
Uh-huh.
What did he do?
I have no idea.
Okay.
That's like me in the morning. Thank you all very much. My name is Jack Henselwood. I'm the Executive Director of the Crooked Road, Virginia's Heritage Music Trail. And what I passed out there is some things going on here very soon. This is the 5th annual Mountains of Music Homecoming celebration coming up June 7th to the 15th. And so that's information on all of the events associated with it in Russell County and throughout Southwest Virginia. I just wanted you all to have copies of that. And what I came to talk to you about is wayside exhibits. And so this is what we're talking about. The Crooked Road has, what we try to do is promote the incredible musical heritage in Southwest Virginia. I'm sure most all of you know that the music that's been preserved here is of interest to people from all over the world. And people come here, and our job is to
help spread the word that there is an incredible culture of music here, that people can come and visit these communities in the region and enjoy it. People who love this kind of music, and they come from all over the world. We've got some folks from the UK coming to the Mountains Music Homecoming just in a few weeks. And so part of what we do is throughout the region, Southwest Virginia, there's 27 of these waysides. This is a kiosk. You pull your car off the side of the road and you read the two panels. The one on the left is the same at every stop. It's about the crooked road in general. But the one on the right is about the music of that particular area, that particular community or county or town. And so here is that generic panel that's on every one of them. It talks in general about the crooked road, as a map of the region, and shows where the traveler is on that particular one. And then this is an example from the panel in the town of Wise. This gives you the history of not only the music, it also gets into some of the history of the town of Wise and the surrounding area there. Old historic photographs about coal industry and about the early timbering industry and so forth. So it will talk about attractions in the region, current day attractions and so forth. This map shows you the locations of these 27 waysides. Let me point them out. They're the little yellow arrows pointing up. Those are all wayside exhibits. So here, all the way around these yellow, those kiosks throughout the region. And we would, let me go back to that map just a minute. When the Crooked Road started back in 2004, the original counties that were part of it were the ones, most of the ones that border North Carolina and belong to Kentucky border there. That was 10 counties and 3 cities. And then in about 2009, the 9 additional counties in the city of Radford had expressed interest in becoming part of the Crooked Road. And so that we expanded the service area in 2009, and so now you're looking at the entire Crooked Road region of 19 counties and 4 cities. It's almost the size of New Jersey. So the original road, 330 miles long, it was a route, a lot of it along Route 58, that connected some really important music venues that were in the region. Carter Fold, for example, the Floyd Country Store, where people have gathered for over 100 years. So that was the original concept to bring people to this region, people who love this music, to come visit these places like the Carter Fold, and places like that had been visited by people from all over the world for many years before the road even got started. But what we helped do to connect all these things together was to help people understand this is not one place that you come to hear music. This is an entire region that is incredibly rich with this musical heritage. So, the additional 9 counties, Buchanan and Russell and Tazewell, Smith, Wythe, Bland, Pulaski, Giles, Montgomery, and Wythe, those all came in, and the city of Radford in 2009. And so as you can see where these wayside exhibits are located, they were put in early on when the Crooked Road was only the original 10 counties. And so we've gotten grant funding to help put in waysides in these additional localities. We'd like that entire map to have waysides where people could come and learn about the musical history of the different communities. The way this process happens is you do the field research. You go find out what is the musical story of this particular community, because because everybody has a unique story. And once a community knows what their story is, they can take really the best advantage of being part of the Crooked Road, which is a collection of stories about the wonderful music of the region. So the field research is done. We meet with people in the community who know about the musical history, that might have historic photos, might have historic recordings and so forth. And at some point, a location, typically a place that has good traffic, where people will see the exhibit. It might be located somewhere where you have other attractions that you want people to come to. Then we fabricate the panels after the script has been written and the photos selected for that particular Wayside exhibit. And then there's a radio transmitter on the back of all of these exhibits. And that radio transmitter, you can tune your radio in your car to 100.1 FM, and you listen to about a 4 or 5 minute broadcast, radio broadcast, telling you about the music of that particular community. And you'll hear the old recordings. You'll hear recordings from the 1920s and 1930s. This one is out in an area without electrical power, so it has a solar panel on it for the power. And then, so we record that radio broadcast. We have to, of course, order those materials, the fiberglass panels, the radio materials, and then, of course, erecting the structure and highway signage is put out, directing people to where they can go and see this. Then typically there's a ribbon cutting, and certainly families that share in the musical history that's being presented are typically, part of that ceremony, and it's a chance to honor those families, because that's what this music is. It's music that's been kept and preserved in families in this region. And then we include that on the Crooked Road website. This is a little place there where you can go on our website, and you can go to each of the waysides right here on the website. You can listen to that loop broadcast, or you can download the panel that talks about it. And the nice thing is, when all that research is done, it's put together in a book, and it's way more information than will fit on a panel. But all of that information usually is left with local library, so that anyone else who comes along and does research on the musical history of the area can access it and so forth. So the Crooked Road, I said, we have some grant funding. The grant funding is from Tobacco Commission, and we're looking for matching funding. If the county was interested in helping with this, we could use that help to be able to do the project in the county to get matching funding for it. Probably in the neighborhood of $3,000 is the match that it would take to put an exhibit in the county. So that's kind of everything I have to relay to you. I'll close by saying that you all have an incredibly rich musical heritage in this county. So you've got some powerful stories to tell from artists who traveled and played at Carnegie Hall to a couple of fiddlers who made their mark in early country music. Great stories. You've got some stories that should be told. They're very powerful.
Jack, I had brought this to your attention back a while I had an opportunity last week to talk with Lannis Sherry. Lannis, actually, thankfully, he's coming back to good health. And I had talked to you about his AM station down on Mute Road.
Right.
And Lannis would like to entertain a conversation in regards to that, to partner somehow with the Crooked Road. I know you guys have the station, because we pick it up on the breaks area and when we're over working and stuff, but I think it would be a good opportunity and a good partnership. That AM station is, it gets out quite a ways, and before, you know, the opportunity, I guess the decision he makes to maybe shut it down, I think that would be prime communications for this region or this area to have some of that information broadcasted live off of that AM platform. So if you could reach out to Lance, I can get you his direct sale, and maybe y'all can have a conversation, see if there's any grant funding available, maybe to be able to operate that.
Sure, glad to have those conversations. I have funding for one. We basically, it was important to us to be able to get out to all those additional 9 counties. So the funding we got is, you know, covering at least one in all of those localities. More can be done. You just have to secure some additional funding. We're doing 2 each in Tazewell and Buchanan counties, thanks to a partnership with the Thompson Foundation. They were able to provide additional financial resources to allow us to do 2 per county. So that, you know, that's always possible.
I'm very familiar with the plan that went to Clunky House.
I know it is.
Jack, what kind of cost are you talking about for one of these?
So that's a 50-50 match that we have to have. So these things run about $7,500 probably. All told.
On the funding, can it be in kind?
Some of it could certainly be, and I think that's been often, the localities have often provided some in kind when it comes time for installation and that sort of thing.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have their board appointments, and Katie, this is with the new board that will be approved with their joint. I'm saying, now, do you need for us to, for each of their districts, for us to appoint someone to that? Yep.
I mean, as long as we've got that, I mean, we can go ahead and do it that way, but technically, you have to approve that. You go ahead and go to the.
We go ahead and make a motion to approve it.
Yeah, I guess you just need to move to.
And there's one other matter I need to address, which is under that section, which is currently under mine. So it would probably actually be best to just defer their appointments until my section, instead of trying to move all that back up.
Okay. So we'll just wait on these appointments to actually sit with us.
I think that would be best.
Okay. All right, the next thing we need to accept the resignation of Ms. Judy Lockridge from the Department of Social Service. So do we have a motion to accept her resignation?
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Steve? Second. Lou? All right.
Discussion. I
Any
want to,
discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that Judy did contact me about that, and she's regretful that she had to do that. She had some sickness in her family. Her mother had some injuries, broke her hip, and her father had some injuries as well, and had some medical. Both she and her sister are busy full-time right now, taking care of her parents.
She spoke with us about that too, and I told her that was very new. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the resignation? Aye. Any opposed? We also know she has to stay on, shouldn't she? She was wonderful. All right, next, our new business. We have approval of minutes from the board. We have April 1st. So do I have a motion for, to accept the minutes for our April 1st meeting?
So moved.
David, second.
Second.
Steve, any discussion? Everybody read them? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Now we have our minutes from April the 24th, which was a reconvened meeting. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
Motion for approval, please.
All right, Lou, a second.
I'll second.
Carl, all those in favor?
Aye.
No discussion. I'm sorry. Third is our another reconvened meeting for April the 29th.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Harry.
Second.
Second. Steve, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
That's correct, you were absent.
Yeah, I was also glad.
Yeah, okay, David and Lou will abstain, they were absent that day. Our next item under new business is the approval of expenditures. So do we have a motion to pay our bills?
So moved.
Tim, do we have a second?
Second.
Lou, all right, any discussion on our bills? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we have our citizens' comment period. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot it. Third, we did have a amended agenda. This is with our county administrator's contract. Do I have a motion for legal counsel to continue with this and make this contract with our county administrator?
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
All right, David, a second.
Second.
Steve, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Now we'll have our citizens' comment period. Is there anyone that did not get to sign this, if you came in late to sign up to make a comment? All right, the first one, I have Eric Bryant. Okay.
You had one here,
You have one?
Madam Chair.
Ma'am, you need to sign.
Quick, and we'll come sign this here. All right, sir, state your name and address, please.
Yes, hello, my name is Eric Bryant. I live at 1859 Eagles Nest Road in Cassia. And I'm here today to address the board on our need to enact a countywide noise ordinance. Now, I'm sure that this has to affect more citizens than just myself, but where I live, I've been there for over a quarter of a century. It's been a lovely, quiet place to live. A wraparound porch, me and my wife have enjoyed that up until maybe the past 6 months. And I've had people move into the neighborhood who want the neighborhood to adapt to them instead of them assimilating into our neighborhood. They're outside always. They don't talk in normal tones, and they have dogs that bark incessantly into the wee hours of the morning. I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work. And when I say that they don't talk in normal tones, I live a football field away from them. And I was in my yard working with earplugs in and music playing, and I could still hear them. That's the way they communicate. Now, I have yet to go and speak to them personally because I called the Russell County Animal Board 3 different times, left 3 messages, got no replies. I called the Sheriff's Department. The deputy told me there is no county noise ordinance. There's nothing that I'm going to do. I'm not going to go to their house and tell them what they can do in their own property. And I said, okay, then my only recourse is for me to go and confront them. No, Mr. Bryant, you don't do that either. I said, okay, so the law says we're going to do nothing and you can't do anything. So I feel that Russell County's inaction forces its citizens into action. And what it actually does is pit neighbors against one another because we know these things don't work out very well just talking. And so, if I were to give you a scenario, then I get no reasonable response from these people. The sheriff's office isn't going to help me. I go get 2 large Bluetooth speakers, set them on the edge of my property, Google World War II, and broadcast it in towards their house all hours of the day, every day. Then Russell County cannot come and tell me to turn those speakers off because there's no law. I would very much appreciate for you to seriously consider this. It cannot just be affecting people in Castlewood or just me by myself. We need this, the citizens need it, we need some recourse other than going and challenging one another. I thank you very much for hearing me this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Now we have Jerry Jackson.
Hope y'all doing well tonight. I live in Hollywood, 5877 Redbird Highway. What I've noticed is we got a little restaurant called Honeydew. It's downtown Honeydew, but nobody knows it's down there. We got a museum that's next to us. Nobody knows it exists. We got a fire department down there. Nobody knows it. Police department. Nobody knows nothing there. They drive right down the road. They're out of town before they. We get so many people coming through. They don't have a clue that we ain't down there. So we need the information side. Let us know where downtown is, what's downtown. So, that's not a lot to ask. I'm so proud of this of the city. Nothing but good things to say, but we do need a little information to let us know, let people know that we do exist, and there is a downtown. We got nothing. There's nothing downtown to let us know about. And people do stop by, so we didn't even know y'all was down here. We didn't even know this was down. We had several people come by, they don't even know there's a museum, we spend all this money, and don't nobody know where it is. Do y'all have a museum? Yeah. I don't know where it is. Don't nobody know where nothing is, because we got no information. So we definitely need something.
I asked Jerry to come over here and speak, and I talked to Lonzo and JR in regards to this issue. I told Jerry, coming straight from the person that affects his business directly, all he's asking for is just an application for the sign marker that would show the designated businesses in downtown.
Have you talked with the town council? Has town council worked with you yet? Have you spoken to them?
Have you worked with me? I'm not being smart.
No, but I'm just.
We have not.
Okay.
Nobody told us nothing. There's always,
And I've been to honeybees. I've been to honeybees.
I mean, you're a lucky one.
Yeah.
You know, they spend quite a bit of money on the museum. Nobody knows it exists. I mean, this is, they all got the breakfast before they realize where's Honeydew.
I think the sign placement, what Jerry talked to me about, is the sign placement would be actually in the county, not the town limits of Honeydew. There's no place between the cliffs, you'd have to put it on the county side. When you're coming down on 80 or 67, either way, even from Big A, So that would have to be probably on state highway property.
Who's the honeybee sign now? Whose property is that on? Yeah,
Mine.
yeah. Because I wonder.
I'm
'cause I
trying.
mean, it's.
I'm trying.
JR, is there a process to apply for permission?
Yeah, a couple issues. Number one, I think the town council does need to try to get involved with identifying some spots in town to do some signage for museum restaurants and things.
So what I need to do?
Talk to the whole Anchor Town Council. But as far as, erecting anything on state right away, it's a program that's administered through Virginia Logos. And, they limit on what they advertise and how they advertise, but they can, point folks toward, attractions, restaurants, things of that nature. And I don't know if they'll come back as far as 67 intersection, going over down the whole acre, but, that would be something that we can look at, and, we can get you in touch with those folks. David, do you have his contact information? Okay, I'll work with David and get you the information you need. We'll get it to the town of Honaker also, and they can get in touch with you.
Well, thank y'all very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Now we have Miss Lena Osborne. Say your name and address. Well, we got it. Okay, thank you. We got it.
I have a question. What is the law concerning livestock in Russell County? Do you have to fence other people's cattle out? Just what is the law on that?
It's a fence out,
Fence in.
Fence out.
It's a fence out county. Yeah.
You're telling me that if I don't have any animals, I have to fence my neighbor's house out of my property.
The ideal situation is both of you get together and share the expense of it, because it is a line between two property. But it's fenced out the county. It's much your responsibility to keep them off the media as it is for them. Ideal way is like I said,
I
share.
don't agree with that one. I have to have animals, but I have to deal with them. Keep them out of my yard, donkeys, cows, and little goats, and dogs running around everywhere. And, but it is fenced out. That's the whole county. All right,
And
thank you.
several surrounding counties have with also.
Maxine Kelly.
I think, and I signed up for this, that my comments was on the water and on the road, and I've already made those.
Thank you, thank you. All right, JJE.
Got a few things I want to hand you all. All right, I'm J.J. Eaton. I live at 74 Sox Drive, Honaker, Virginia. And I'm here on behalf of the Appalachian Horse Show Association that we put together. If you all don't know yet, We are now finished with the horse ring. We still got a few little things to touch up and do. But our first horse show is this weekend, May 11th. And what I got in front of you is a waiver. It looks like this. And it has been looked over multiple times by a few people, lawyer, and Lonzo looked at it as well. This is for anybody to sign before they ride a horse on the facility, period. And that is upheld by the Virginia law that you see, the 3.26202. That was implemented about 6 years ago. That states is anybody in equine, it doesn't matter what, if they are hurt or injured by a horse, they are accountable. Not whoever's putting on the show, not whoever's putting on the event, whether it's a rodeo or whether it's a horse show, they are responsible as long as they sign this waiver. And that being said, I know you all had general liability on the property. We are actually in conversation with 2 or 3 insurance companies to get insurance on the property for the year. But I had a meeting, me and one of our board members had a meeting with Ms. Rebecca Dye and Mr. Tim Lovelace, I think last year. And one of the things we talked about is a county event. If the county votes to host it as an event, or just call it an event like other things you all do in the county, that it will be covered under the insurance. And I was here tonight to ask if you all would sponsor our horse show for May 11th and cover it as a county event. And the other page is also a show schedule, so if you all want to come this weekend, you're more than welcome. And on our Facebook page, if you look, as far as the sponsor goes, I know big numbers help as far as, you know, being okay with sponsoring it and stuff like that. And so far, we've got 200 people that says they're interested in coming to the event and are coming to the event. And we've got people from out of state. And I have talked to somebody today. I mean, they're coming in from 2 or 3 states away. They got a motel rented out here in Lebanon to stay the night. So we're giving back a lot of money to First Place and quite a few classes, so they should be a pretty good sized turnout.
JJ, you want to express that to some of the people that's donated money for those show classes and how much they're willing to give?
Yeah. Well, we have got $500 given back in open pacing. We have got $450 given back in cake shot racking, $250 in a memorial trophy for mares and geldings pacing, $350 for speed racking, and the other classes will be 50% of how many horses are in the show ring. And so far we've had great support from businesses and people that have sponsored this horse show. I mean, it's been unreal the amount of support that we've had, and we're very grateful for that.
If I may, I've just been provided this agreement, and so I typically don't like to just read things right on the spot and give you my legal opinion on them. Did you, when did you say your event is?
Saturday.
It's this Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Are you all going to be meeting again before then?
We'll discuss, but we were going to have a budget workshop. Discuss the county budget.
Yeah, I talked to Lonzo last week to try to get on the agenda, but
You came on Friday and went to
yeah,
agenda already.
I was aware that the agenda has been already
Sorry.
sent out.
If you all would like to, continue it till then, give me time to look at what's being
We have time to do that.
When do you plan
on meeting.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know yet, so.
As long as
JJ,
it's not tomorrow.
My only concern is that this, if it had been advertised as a county event right from the start, but, you know, you've already gone through a lot of advertising, so.
Well, it's just an event under our organization, which I was aware that the county would sponsor if we had an event, and that's the only reason I was
But
asking.
I think the process ought to be, you come to the county and say, we're gonna have an event.
Yeah.
The county says, okay, we'll sponsor it. I think you sort of got the cart before the horse, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying we can't do it. I think it's a legal issue, you know,
Oh, I
whatever Kate
understand.
says, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think we need to work out a process about how you get that. And I've got no problem with calling it a county event if we just get it worked out, you know, up front, you know.
Any other comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Mr. Bob Gibson.
Bob Gibson, 49 First Street in Castlewood. I was here last month to discuss the prospect of building like a $4.5 million sports complex. We're going to put grass seed in Castlewood's Astro Field and college football on soccer field. I was just following up to see where y'all, I know there's a back and forth, you don't have to say anything, but I was just curious to where this board stands on that issue. The utter unfairness of the proposal that the school board is making.
I'll be the first to tell you that I think Lebanon's needs to be done, but not without Castlewood's being done as well. If Honaker and Lebanon will play on the turf field, Blue Devils should also.
I'll give you my opinion, Bob, and I'm ready to make a motion to this effect, and it's been going for a while. I think we need to drop back and look at the needs of the entire county, not just Lebanon, not just Castlewood. If we're going to do it, and this is something that when David and I were on the budget committee, we had monthly meetings with the school board, and we talked to Jeff and Donnie about preparing a list that had projects, major projects they wanted to do, things that couldn't be done by maintenance people. And we also asked them to make a list of projects that could be done by the maintenance people and maybe our workforce and things like that. Major projects, minor projects. And we named a few, but we never did get that list in. What I'm going to propose, if Madam Chair will let me, when we bring it up at the end of the session, matters before the board, I've got a proposal. I think we need to do a study committee that will look at all the counties, look at all the facilities, and do what Lou might call a master plan, I guess, a planning document. We need to do an inventory of what we've got within all three schools and the county facilities. We need to look at what the needs are. We need to come up with alternatives to meet those needs, whether it be repairing whatever facility it might be, or whether it's replacing it, or a combination of the both. But we need to do that, and we need to generate a tool that that the county and the school system can use to address a lot of these problems. And I would ask this committee, I think it should be made up of a couple of board members. I would like to be one of them, a couple of school board members, the county administrator, school superintendent, and probably the athletic directors from all three high schools. And I think we need to interview people, coaches, students, anybody that's going to use those fields to see what kind of needs they have to try to get the biggest bang for the buck. I'm not for building a $1.2 million field house. That kind of floored me. I can't fathom that. I would love to be able to do something out of high school. I think it's long overdue. I think there was an opportunity missed in the past to have that done by John Baramack. In fact, we talked to him. He was at the point he was going to do a field for Lebanon and Castlewood. But apparently there were some frustrations in trying to get that done, and he pulled out and went to Pennsylvania. I'm not sold on a turf field. I'll tell you, all the research that I've done, 89% of the professional athletes prefer to play on a grass field. And you can talk about maintenance issues if you want to, but we have an ag education program here, and I think taking care of a turf field. Turf grass management is a big field in agricultural studies. I think it'd be a great project for kids. So that's what I'm gonna propose. And I'm just throwing this out to the board right now. So that's where I stand. And I think we've got to look at it. We've got to prioritize. The school's going to have to prioritize within the 3 schools, and then you're going to have to do a major priority. Tell me which one of them is the most critical. Is it Castlewood, is it Lebanon, or is it both equal? But we've got to come to some resolution as to what monies we have and how we're going to spend them. Because the county, it's been a tough year. It's been a tight budget this year, and we don't have a whole lot of money. And simply, that money that's coming off the debt, when the people of Russell County gave that money to the school system, it was for an intended project. They didn't give it to them to keep forever.
That's right. I mean,
that money needs to come back to the county, and if we come up with projects, we can reallocate that money if those projects are done properly, and we can justify those projects and know that we're getting a big bang for the buck,
Yeah, I agree with the way they word that. It's no new money. If it's a new project, it's new money.
Well, I will tell you this, Bob, too, I was really frustrated because, I didn't have a lot of information, and we wasn't really informed of the project. And I like to have a lot of conversation and do a lot of due diligence in regards to this, because initially it's the taxpayers that's going to have to pay it. And even if you have to roll off money off debt service, you got to make sure it's sustainable. One of the things I will tell you with Homeacre did a public-private partnership. We just did it with batting cages. We had corporate sponsors that paid for our indoor batting cage complex. And I don't know if there's been anybody that had a conversation with any of the corporate people in Russell County, but we just added 5 new industries. And we've got a lot of, there should be some communications, which I serve on the committee at the college. They just added 14 different athletic programs. They don't have enough facility.
I think somebody from college needs to be a part of this committee.
I agree.
Invite Dr. Wright or his representative to be a part of it, because they may want to use some of these facilities.
Well, they rent to go.
And may be able to put some money into it.
Well, their foundation, they have 14 different athletic programs. To be able to have just a basic conversation with the college, they use Richlands has always used their baseball complex there behind the college for their baseball program. If you're going to do something, I think there needs to be some conversation with a lot of players within the region. There's no doubt in my mind we can do this. But we also need to look at AAU and USSSA. That brings in a lot of money in the region, and we have facilities now that can be adapted and positioned for that throughout the whole county. I played in Knoxville and had to drive 30 minutes down the road because I lost, and then had won, and then had to come all the way back. And it generates a lot of income, generates a lot of money for the region. But we've not had these conversations, and I feel like there needs, I'm like Steve, I feel it's critical that you have a lot of discussion and conversation and a long-term plan to be sustainable. We've built buildings here in the county and didn't put air conditioning in. We built gymnasiums and didn't put air in them. I think that it needs to be very, very thought out, and we need to do equally, just like we've fought for, to do equal for our employees. We need to do it also for the whole area of Russell County.
Well, there's things like air conditioning. We're going to have to look at all. It's not just, can't be just football. It's going to have to include football, soccer, basketball, the whole schmear. If we're going to do this thing, let's do it right. And let's come up with what each school names as their most critical issue, whether it be a football field or whatever. Let this committee look at it from a cost standpoint, from an operational cost standpoint, capital cost standpoint. Can we do it ourselves? Can we phase it out? Or do we have to have a specialized construction company come in and do this? This committee is going to have to tag a cost to it, a capital cost to it, so that we can, plus we'll have to know, approximately how long it's going to take to do it. I'm an engineer, that's just the way my brain works. We have to come up with some hard, fast standards on this before we can really do due diligence. We can't just fire out there and build it and they will come.
Right, I agree.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Linda Couch.
My name's Linda Couch. My address is 6800 Cleveland Road, Cleveland, Virginia. And I am with the Cleveland, Virginia Rural Development. And we originally do the Russell County Kids Fishing Day, which the fishing day got canceled this year. So in order to have something to do for the children of Russell and surrounding counties, Carl Ray suggested, because he helps us with stuff, to do a fun day. So we are actually trying to come up with enough funding, just like the fishing day, but it's not fishing day, to be able to get the children activities to do. And it will be at the Cleveland Ballpark, May the 18th at 12 to 5. And we are wanting to come up with enough donations to get inflatables and get stuff. We want to do hot dogs, and we want to do baked beans and coleslaw, chips, and a drink. Just basically the same thing as a kids fishing day, but it'll have to be a fun day. And I have sent you all a request, and I hope that you all will consider giving us a donation so we can pull this off and have something for the kids to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Those that don't get by you, my discretionary funds.
Is there anyone else in the public that would like to comment? Would you like to sign it? Give us your name and address, sir. Thank you. Now we have Stanley King.
Yes, I'm Stanley King, Land Spring section, Sword Street. I've got a couple of issues that both pertains to our road, about 632. Both concerned lead off. I'll ask a quick question to get it out of the way. A few months back, I talked with Ms. Reed on maybe getting our speed limit reduced from that way on account of speeders and racers. It's ridiculous how a lot of people drive. And the last I knew on that, I saw when the director put it in the paper comments and it was under a study. And I was wondering if anything ever come up. Does everybody know?
Well, that's the one I called, on that 632.
632, on the 632 study. I have to dig back a little bit, dig back my notes, traffic notes. A lot of times we look at those based on traffic volume as well as crash history. So we know we need to make a change to the speed limit. And pretty honest, not that much don't recall offhand, but we'll do digging back on that. But my suspicion is that it probably didn't meet threshold on volume or crash history.
I'd also talked to the sheriff's office about trying to get some additional patrol up in that area, Stanley, to see if we could kind of curb that.
We've had a few officers come up that way, and I've recently talked with them. There's really nothing they can do. It's considered 55 miles. They can't radar get them about. And I'll give you a prime example of stuff that goes on. This little boy goes out one day with one of these tandem wheel dump trailers. He's going behind the pickup. We'll probably haul super a ton. He goes out on a Saturday. He picks him a race when he comes back up, and he goes by my house on that trailer, just a short slash. I've had one wreck in front of my house, and a gentleman got killed.
No, I know.
It's sad. That particular day, I had Steve die in my living room. Something needs done on that. Something needs done on it. It's ridiculous. And I have thought my head off for the last 8 months, I think it's been. We had this strip job. I'm gonna change subjects now and go to the strip job. It started in October when they came in. Instead of them coming with a positive attitude to be a part of our community, they come in to gum it up and destroy, tear down. All we got is a hog gone to run through it. Nobody wants to do anything. I thought I'd hit the jackpot when I went in the DEQ office at Abington. I've been in their office twice. A gentleman by the name of Mike Kidd, I thought he was going to help me. Then he lets me down. He says it's out of his jurisdiction, he can do nothing. I can't find anybody that will do anything. Friday night, coming back from church, it come up rain. The strip job has no silt on it. All the silt comes off the hill, a branch. The mud, it's not filled the ditch up. I've tried all day to get a hold of, and I tried Saturday to get a hold of someone to feed off. The ditch needs cleaned. It's simple. Bring it back to it, get the mud out of it, give the water somewhere to go. But no, they don't want to do this, I guess. They're bound by the EPA. But I can't find no EPA that gets me on the silt and the runoff and the mud that we have to run. And it's not fair to the citizens to have to go through such trauma as this. I don't think any of the operators, I'm not trying to give them a hard time, but this folder right here, this is Division of Mines, where I have filed with the Division of Mines. They don't like these. It causes them to come out of their office and go to a muddy place and investigate. But generally, it's pretty clean when they get there because I've got photos in here. They do when they come. See, they call the operator a couple hours ahead of time and say, look, we've had a complaint, we're coming to investigate. You need to get cleaned up, get things in order. I even have a one line in there where the James Osborne, young lady, had commented what a great job they were doing, keeping their haulage road and everything in good standards. There's pictures in there where they have a broom truck that they use to make slop out of it. When they bring mud out on the road, they got this broom truck with water. They get in there and stir it. You sling that gallon of slop all over your car. I just went through cancer. I don't feel like washing my car. I don't feel like spraying mud off of it. But we have to. And I'm asking the board of supervisors, I should have a boss somewhere. I can't get no help from them. Let me tell you, I called this one today. I called everybody I knew to call. So I come to my target and see if you all would be interested in helping get our ditch cleaned out of there, so that mud and silt and water can go on to the creek and not lodge it in the river. It's a violation, to my understanding, that the EPA would allow such as that to run up in the creek. But everybody I talk to, it's somebody else's responsibility. Nobody wants to claim responsibility. Nobody wants to do anything. And I'm asking you all to at least try to get our ditch clean till it will have somewhere to go. And I would appreciate it if you would do it.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak at this time?
first name? Stanley.
Where's your property?
Lynn Spring.
Lynn.
Lynn.
So it's great.
Is that Ken?
Kip, yes, ma'am.
Ken Parsons from Castlewood. Go ahead, sir.
I was wanting to speak about the proposal of Lebanon's stadium too. And I agree with you guys on that part, but I think that if whatever money's spent there, it should be equally divided. I don't think if you were to spend that kind of money there and give Castlewood a few grass seeds, that's not right. And I know Lebanon's probably, their field, it's not as bad as ours. I mean, I know if y'all been there, it's not as bad. And, Doug Hubbard actually said he didn't want to bring his kids to Castlewood because he's afraid of getting them hurt. He put that in the paper. And, Castlewood needs, and I think that that would be so unfair to tell our kids that you all were in favor of giving them that kind of, they don't want a field, they want a stadium. It's not, it's not just the field they want. They want it to be mansions, and I think if you have that kind of money to give out, you ought to give it equal. Castlewood's the same, Homeacre the same, Lebanon the same. And say, here, you can build what you need to with this money. If you can't, if you can only do so much of it now, the rest of it can be done in the future when we, get more money. And everything will be fair to every kid. I mean, because that's what it's about. It's about the kids. If our kids are playing in rock and getting hurt, then, it's just not right. I mean, it's not right to even, if you all even think about giving Lebanon that kind of money to make it feel that wouldn't be right. I mean, I don't say that. If you all ever been to our school, our wrestling program had 2 state champions this year and a runner-up. Our shire, I wouldn't want my dog in it, but we have to make our kids get in it because it's that bad. And, and we've been trying to get stuff, I mean, a fan, VHSL changed the rules and you're supposed to have exhaust fan in your wrestling facilities. And, keep skin diseases down. And we can't even get, we've been trying to get a fan for 3 years. We can't even get the exhaust fan put in. And I just don't think it would be fair. I don't see how any of y'all would agree that would be fair to give Lebanon that and Castlewood. I mean, equal it up, tell them whatever you can do with your money, do it. And, if that's, that way everybody's got the same, everybody's on the same page. It ain't like, you're cheating kids.
First of all, nobody said we were going to do that.
Well, the school
And I can only
board
speak,
saying.
I can only speak for myself, but nobody said the board of supervisors would do that. I think this committee I'm going to propose, part of their job would be to determine what needs to be done with all programs, not necessarily just football. I think wrestling is certainly a legitimate thing, soccer, whatever, everything needs to be taken into consideration to try to meet as many needs as you can with what money's available. It'd be great if we had a real lot of money and we could say, okay, here's you $1 million, here's you $1 million, here's you $1 million. You just gotta do whatever you want to, but the county is not in that kind of shape.
Right.
They're not. We have to be very careful about what we do and we want to plan it out. But, my goal would be, and I'm sure the board's goal is try to be as fair about it as we can, and use the county's resources to get the biggest bang for the buck. But the schools are going to have input as to what their most critical projects are, what they want to do. So, I would look probably at the athletic directors in each school, And I think we need to talk to the coaches, need to talk to players, you need to talk to the athletes, the non-athletes. You need, anybody that uses the facility, you need to talk to them and see if you can tailor whatever it is to meet their needs. So, if we do a field somewhere, it's good for everybody, not just football, not just,
Yeah, I agree.
it's a facility that everybody can use.
Yeah. Our soccer program, just starting up, and they don't have nothing. I mean, they can't even hardly fight out, because it's just, they don't have enough room.
Well, see, that's the kind of thing needs to be looked at before we put any money into anything.
Right.
That my personal opinion.
Right. Because, just throwing some grass seed down ain't gonna help it. It's just not gonna.
No, it's like putting a Band-Aid when you need a tourniquet.
Exactly, yes. And, and if you did do that, then that puts them right back to the baseball field practice. And then, the baseball field's just now coming around, and we're practicing football on it, turn it right back up. That's crazy. And you all have, ones that give them the money for it, so, I think, like you say, y'all need to look into that and make sure that, because that, this, I should just be fair to the kids.
That's some hopeful people.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, if there's no one else, we will close the citizens' comment period at this time. Constitutional officers. See anybody? All right, county attorney reports and requests. Okay.
Thank you all for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
The first thing that we need to do with the Western County PSA and the Castle Woods Water and Sewage Authority is when you all were approving the motion to close the public hearing, I was discussing with Ms. Kilgore that we, instead of closing that, we needed to just recess in case that when we send our documents to the SEC, if they have changes that need to be made, that we can reopen that instead of having to re-advertise. So right now, it would be best to rescind that motion to close the public hearing and instead, once we approve, to recess.
I will rescind that motion if Mr. Eaton will rescind his second.
I will.
And I'll replace that with a motion to reconvene the public hearing. Is that what you would like, Karen?
Yes,
Recess.
we need to pick a time though. I know we had talked about potentially maybe meeting later in the week, if we could just continue it until that date.
We'll just wait.
Okay, that'll be fine. So that we can take it up. Then we need a motion to approve the joinder agreement and the amended articles as they are, and this is but before you approve that, I do think you need to make the proposals for the board members and then approve them as they are with that addition. So I think the appropriate sorry. I think the appropriate thing to do at this time is to take up who the board would like to put in those initial as those initial board members and then approve those agreements.
So you want us to do, do the positions first, each district.
Yes, because you can't really approve those agreements until those are part of that.
Document. Gotcha. All right. Well, shall we just start with District 1? Down there on E, what's your motion? Would you like to?
And if you don't mind, when y'all make the motion, y'all do the approval based off the stroke poll that you did, of the numbers of the terms, identified position, and the amount of the term.
Okay, I'd like to, for District 1, I'd like to nominate Carter McLaughlin, and I did draw the 4-year term.
Individually, yeah, you have to, the whole board has to.
There's just no more nominations, because it has to be.
That's your,
Yeah, I don't think there would need to be a second for this because it's still by majority vote, but it's up to that individual board member to select the person, so I don't think a second would really be necessary.
Just ready for us to vote then? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Carter McLaughlin, District 4, or District 1 for 4 years. Okay, District 2, Lou.
Madam Chair, a year or so ago, we had a gentleman to give us an application, and his name was David Edmonds Jr. from Castlewood. And I contacted Mr. Edmonds, and we've had a long conversation, and he was very willing to serve on this new board. So that would be David Edmonds Jr., P.O. Box 813, St. Paul. And I've got his telephone number if you need that, for 1 year.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carl, District 3.
Yeah, I nominate Clifford Hess. And,
2 years. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
David?
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Chris Dye for 2 years.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Joe Huff for 3 years.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And let me go ahead and do mine. I generally am last, but I'll go ahead. Okay, I would like to place nomination Terry Powers for District 6, and this is for 3 years. All those in favor?
Aye.
And our at-large.
Okay, I'd like to nominate Cupid Porter. It's 1 year.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I didn't know you back there. Provided there are no more questions, we need a motion to approve the joinder agreement and the amended articles
1 year.
as presented with the addition of the members.
That'd be enough.
I will make that motion, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Steve. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
David? Any discussion on this? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, we have our articles of incorporation, our joiner agreement, and our nominees to be sent, correct? And if we need any legal advice, you'll get back with us at a
Yes.
big meeting.
And just so Ms. Kilgore doesn't have to stay any longer, we're going to do the motion to recess the public hearing once we've got the new time and date at the end of this meeting. Okay, and so we will be recessing the public hearing to that time, which we anticipate will be later on this week. Is that correct?
Okay. Anything, Katie? You need to say anything more about that?
The waste management, we already voted to put that, so unless there's any additional questions, we'll take those issues back up at the June meeting.
All right, now we have the county administrator's reports and requests.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. First up on the county administrator reports and requests is actually dealing with the financial condition of the county. And actually, this is a evaluation by the Commonwealth of Virginia, the auditors of public accounts. This is the highest agency evaluation of ever counties within all 94 counties within the state of Virginia. The financial edition, this is the same agency that you have heard in the media concerning Petersburg and Bristol. So under the 2007 Virginia Acts of Assembly, Chapter 836, Part 4-803 directs the auditors of public accounts to establish a prioritized early warning system to identify possible local physical distress localities within and across Virginia and monitor accordingly on an annual basis. Based off the APA reports, based on a review of the completed assessment questionnaire and information provided to our office, along with our discussions with your locality, we have concluded that the County of Russell does not appear to be in a situation of financial distress that would warrant assistance or intervention from the Commonwealth of Virginia. Accordingly, we have determined that no further notification nor recommendation from the auditors of public accounts to the locality, governor, or the chairman of the money committee is necessary. It means a very clean audit. Next on the county administrator reports and request is the Commonwealth Waste Management Authority's FY 1920 budget report. This is, of course, the Waste Management Authority, which consists of Dixon County, Buchanan County, and Russell County. They are required to submit a budget report to us for their financial condition on the new upcoming year. And one of the things that is notable in this budget year, they are reducing their budget expenses to the county for the administration of $7,033.32 in savings back to the county for the overall cost of the operations to the county. Next on the county administrator reports, of course, again, VDOT. And this is an FYI for the FY 2021-22 revenue sharing program. This is the next application cycle for the revenue sharing program. Everyone knows this is Smart Scale. We'll begin on May 15, 2019 for the fiscal years 2021 and 22. The funding will be made available by July 1st of 2020 and July 1st of 2021 respectively. Next is another VDOT. They're busy tonight. This is an FYI to the board members. This is 2019 Virginia Department of Transportation Bristol District locally administrated program day, which will be held on Thursday, May the 9th at from 9:30 to 4 o'clock at the Hostin Hills Community Golf Course in Marion, Virginia. This will be for local administration staff, localities, consultants, and planning district staff to attend a day-to-day management development funding applications or reimbursement for request and budget management. It is free and the public can attend. Next is notification by the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development to concerning the 2019 Virginia Telecommunication Initiative grant offer. This was a $455,581 grant made to the Russell County IDA in partnership with IGO to extend our telecommunications, the 2019 competitive round for broadband and other services. That was $455,581.
That's actually in the drill community.
Yes. Thank you, Dave. Next is the Russell County School Performance Project update. Right now, the county initiated a energy performance to upgrade all the HVAC units, boilers, and the energy utilization units within. Sorry about that. Systems within the county. We upgraded the applications across all the schools in Russell County, made them more efficient. We implemented boilers, new HVAC units, new lighting, new water, and based off the energy performance contract, which is monitored by the Department of Mines and Minerals and Energy, our savings back from the U.S. Treasury, which is subsidized on the interest component up to 70%. We have collected $233,938.71 with another refund available in September. So next is last week, the Board of Supervisors, the chairperson, Ms. Rebecca Dye, the vice chair, Mr. Steve Breeding, had a roundtable with Tim Kane on the substance abuse disorder roundtable. And there was a lot of good ideas came out, and actually it was featured in the Lebanon News. So, and they looked at various programs and recovery programs, and educational programs and programs that could benefit those working through this community issue. Next is the UVA WISE 2019 Southwest Virginia Economic Development Forum, which is May the 15th at 2019. This is their forum is their the theme. I was trying to think of the theme. Is Technology Leads the 2019 Southwest Virginia Economic Forum. Transforming through technology is their thing. And next is an update on the Buchanan County and the Russell County BOS Economic Development Summit, which was on April the 16th, 2019. Chairperson Ms. Rebecca Dye, Vice Chair Steve Breeding, and member Luann Wallace attended this meeting. It was great discussion concerning the partnership and development and initiatives that, again, come to Plateau share with other counties concerning economic development or community programs. There will be follow-on meetings on this later to discuss the way we can work together, partnership together to make, better. There we go. Like the chairperson said, better use of our funds, working together, working with our partners. Bless you. Bless our heart. Next is the Southwest Community College Spring Commencement Exercise, which is on May the 10th, 2019 at 6 p.m. in the King Community Center Gymnasium, and everyone's invited to attend. Next, again, this was spoken on earlier. This is the Cleveland's Kids Fun Day event, which is on May the 18th, which is from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock at the Cleveland Ballpark. I know that they had requested some funding from the board, and I'll let Ms. Carray, do you want to dedicate what amount to of your contingency funds?
Yes, I think they have, what, 300 left?
Yes, sir.
I just do know 300.
Do have the 300?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. We already had you on the agenda. Next, it is another event. This is the Clinch River Festival, which is the 21st annual Clinch River Festival, which is May 30th through the 31st and June the 1st. This is a festival that has been named in the top 10 spring festivals in Virginia since 2014. We're asking the general public to attend if possible, and the events. The Clinch River Day Festival cordially invites you to a reception. This is at the reception at the Railroad Museum at the St. Paul, Virginia on Thursday, the 30th day of May, 2019 at 6 o'clock in the evening. Our gallery will feature the photography of the renowned local photographer Patsy Phillips. Local wines, craft beer, refreshments will be served. The Heart of Southwest Virginia Community Orchestra will perform on the lawn, casual attire. Next is a letter of appreciation from the Russell County Public Library. This is a joint project between the Russell County Board of Supervisors and the Community Work Program to install new carpet into the library, which we've done and this is a letter of appreciation. Next is a letter of appreciation from the town of Lebanon. This is the letter of appreciation for the 2019 Bicentennial Kids Day held on April the 6th that went exceptionally well thanks to you and your support in this amazing day that brought in hundreds of kids and made it possible thanks to your generous support. This is a letter of support from the town. That concludes the county administrator reports. Next is county administrator request. And I think VDOT's already left. Next is the approval of the secondary highway 6-year plan, 2019-20 through 2025-26, and construction priority list through 2019-20 for Russell County, Virginia. I have a approval for the VDOT, a resolution for the VDOT 6-year secondary construction plan. I need a motion for approval on the 6-year construction plan.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the VDOT 6-year secondary construction plan.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I'll sign this.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
This one
Yes, ma'am.
or
The one with the paper.
paper?
Yes,
Real good.
Next on the county administrator request is authorization of travel request. And the first one on the list is for Brian Ferguson, the VRA conference for disposal waste. I need approval for this travel funding, which is grant funded. So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
It has been paid for.
Next on the list for travel authorization is Gwen Nash for victim witness. This position, this travel is also grant funded.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Third on the list is for Kim Short to attend tourism training and education. This is scholarship funded.
So moved.
Second.
Move. Steve, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is Diana Shorter. She is with the Registrar's Office. This is for the VREO certification, and this is county funded for training for the Registrar's Office.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, last on the list is for Yvonne Cook, and this is training also for the election security training, which everyone's aware of. This is also county funded.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chairperson, that concludes the county administrator reports and requests.
All right, let's everyone look at your calendars, because we do need to have a work session. There is no money. It's gonna be pretty easy. We're right down to, but we're not in the hole either, so I'm very proud of what we have done. Our community work program has done great. All of the officers, all of our agencies have worked well. They've tried to manage their money, and I'm very proud of how everyone has worked with us this year and what they're doing. So we do need to have a work session to discuss and finalize our budget and get it voted on, and if we need to readdress anything for Katie. So I would like to do something this week. Is Thursday or Friday? You can't do it Friday?
Can't do it Thursday, sitting at the doctor's.
Okay. All right,
Friday, I'm okay.
all right. How about, anybody ready for Friday? Is Friday morning okay? If we promise we'll get you out real quick, we'll get you in now. Is Friday okay, you think?
I can't do Friday.
You can't do Friday morning? Okay,
After 11, 11:30.
okay. Well,
Friday,
okay. The 13th?
Yeah, Monday would be great.
Would Monday the
Yes, ma'am.
13th be
Yes,
better?
ma'am.
Would that be better? That'll give us,
Katie, that probably
Mr.
does.
Razor, we already have a 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we got 10 to 12 that day.
Plateau, Cameron Plateau office.
Yeah. On day.
Yes. So if we could make it work in that time.
1 o'clock on Monday?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock on Monday?
The only issue, I mean, we just need a time to recess the public hearing on the joiner, but, the request from,
Appalachian Gateway Horse Trail Association, their event is Saturday, so if there's no meeting to approve anything, we just can't do anything in that time frame.
the week, you all can consider that again.
Thursday afternoon, the night. Well. So Thursday's out. Too many things? Well, we may just have, no, we can't go too far because we need to get this budget finalized and reviewed and everything taken care on it. Monday, 13th is probably going to be about the best we've got. All right, Lou, you said you met Monday from 10 to 12? Is that when you're meeting? Okay. How about Lauren? You'll be here anyway. Monday, the 13th at 1. Is that good? Is that good? All right. Monday, 13th, at 1 o'clock. Okay. All right. Okay, start there. Here, yeah. Here. Right here. In this office, this part. All right, Tim, we'll start with you. Do you have any matters, sir?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Ms. Llewellyn?
Yes, I'm sorry, I do. This evening, we listened to public expression, and I think that's wonderful, but I have some issues with that. We adopted Robert's Rules of Order, and Robert's Rules of Order says that during public expression, we just sit here and listen. If they want to throw rotten tomatoes, that's fine, we're listening. We engaged in conversation with several. I don't really have a problem with that per se, but I think we should have done that at a different time. Because Mr. Bryant came, I had explained to him how things work, and I said, don't expect anybody to say anything or solve your problem with the noise ordinance. And I do think that we need to look at something to help our citizens with these kinds of problems. Because not everybody was raised like some of us, and some people are not really cognizant of other people's privacy and how their enjoyment of life at their home. So I will say that, but I would in the future like to say that if we're going to have public expression, that we have it and we stick to the rules so that we abide by the rules for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl? David?
No, ma'am.
Steve?
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna agree with Lou. I had some complaints in my district about the noise. So I think it's probably some time to look at. I thought it's another ordinance, but I think it's something we have to do. I do have a proposal here to address this athletic field. I'm gonna pass it out since we're reconvening, let you guys look at it. We can talk about it when we come back. Decision, if that's okay with you. Rather try to deal with it.
It's kind of scary though, with it yet be snack time.
Oh, you need to, you must find it for every road, don't you?
You know, we don't have a town.
Kevin, close that door.
That's all I have.
Mr. Ferguson?
The only thing I would say, I agree with the noise. We probably are going to have to address that and look at see what we can do.
back all the way. I even went back on the animals to see if it was a nuisance, even I could tie it to like a large ordinance, I can't. I've talked to the sheriff and I've talked to others about it, and there's nothing in place.
Yes, and I do have a lot of barking dog problems. Donkey barks. Okay, well, anyway, it's time for me to go home. And those are some issues, and people just don't understand that it is bothersome. And I love our animals, and I like music, but heavenly days, we've got to have some sort of a system here for the protection of other citizens.
Madam Chair, I'd like to include our municipalities in the county in this conversation as well. We do something to correspond with them also.
The town of St. Paul does have a noise ordinance that was adopted.
We get to go by. We get to go by
Does
today.
Cleveland have something?
We can ask the mayor.
I think it's yeah, we also looked at disturbing the peace, we tried to do it.
We need to get on whatever we get.
We need to borrow from them. Bring it.
Before we out.
Anything after 11.
Okay.
How do you
You
determine?
need to make the motion to recess that public hearing until Monday, May the 13th at 1.
If it's causing problem.
Okay, that was Stephen,
We
David,
could get the
right?
claim. It's an issue.
He just needs to see it. Okay.
Okay, I'll make the motion, we adjourn to reconvene until Monday at 1 p.m. here, and that we also reconvene the public hearing on the, and we recess the public hearing until that same time, 1 p.m. Monday.
Is that good?
All right, second.
I'll say.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, we will reconvene Monday, 1 o'clock here.
Need to vote, Mayor.